7 o'clock. Marvelous. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Reading. I'd like to convene the Reading Select Board. Today is March 22nd, 2022. Welcome. We have a jam-packed agenda as usual. Quickly, an overview of the meeting includes a recognition from my colleague, Ann Landry. We'll then proceed to Select Board Liaison and Town Manager reports, public comment. We have a public hearing to approve the transfer of the liquor license at 530 Main Street. We will introduce Sujesna Chatterjee, Director for Equity and Social Justice, an update on our new town website, and we will then discuss email policy for volunteer board and committee members. Haven Street Lighting Project. At 8:30, Park will provide us with a presentation of the recommendations. At 9:15, we'll get an update on the Mbta Communities Guidance. At 9:30, Recalc, the committee will give us a presentation and updates on all the work they've been doing. After that, we will discuss future addendas and approve meeting minutes. So this will be my last meeting as Select Board Chair. It's been an honor to serve as the chair of this board, and I feel like we've got a lot done, so I know that will continue in the future. And so with that, I would like to say that tonight, welcome Fidel. Hi Fidel. Tonight will be the last night for us to have Ann Landry as our Select Board member, and I know I speak for everybody when we say her contributions are incredibly valued and we will miss her. I know personally, going back to our time on the Finance Committee and serving with Ann in town meeting, I knew joining this board that this was a good, strong board. I've always been impressed with her thoughtfulness, her ability to listen to community needs, and so many accomplishments, among them serving on the advisory the ad hoc advisory committee for the new Director of Social Justice, and also working with our police and fire, and on top of that, doing all of that during a pandemic, which, you know, now she's a Zoom expert too. So, you know, all of that. Oh, and also being pregnant during her first year. So, you know, that's a lot of multitasking, so we give you a lot of credit. We're going to miss you.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay, so why don't I've taken up enough time, but I'm sure the other board members would like to thank you as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
On my way. So I think you said it very nicely, Karen. Thanks. It's been a lot of fun and an honor working with you again on Finance Committee, on the Select Board, and as my Vice Chair during an exciting year.
That was a tough year, but it was an honor.
Yeah, but you know, it's great. I think that you're a great example of the kind of folks who deliver exceptional town service. And I know that in your other activities, your job and things like that, you're serving the community very well also, and it's very much appreciated. So thanks for all the wisdom, and thanks for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Karen. And thanks, Ann. I feel like I should be playing the Green Day is the Time of Your Life song in this scenario. But yeah, for me, it's an old record at this point where I've only known all of you for the past year, and eventually that won't be the case anymore. But working with you has obviously been a pleasure, and you know, as I just explained, I really don't know what the next year or whatever would hold, but I think if I could say something to Michael and Charlie real quick, if I could.
Sure.
Michael and Charlie, your mother did something that might not be as flashy as flying to space or driving a race car or something cool like that, but she decided to spend her time volunteering for the town and taking time away from her family. And I know that meant a lot for her to be able to do that, and eventually, when you guys are old enough, you realize the guy that runs around Reading and dressed up ridiculously made this comment that you should appreciate what your mom has done and what she's going to do in the future. So next time she wants you to clean up and pick up your clothes, etc., just remember that. She could be spending her time with her time with us, but instead she'll be spending it with you. So I really appreciate your time, Ann, and thank you.
Well said, everyone. Thank you, Ann. Obviously, we got to know each other in 2019 and enjoyed working on the board with you. You always put the community first. You're very respectful and very cordial. And it was a pleasure serving with you on the ad hoc committee for HREC, and just wish you luck. I know you have an exciting new job, and spend more time with your family. And for me, what stands out for me and how you care about the town and want to see things done the right way was when, that night of the chief of police process where you kind of pushed the ball forward and made sure that we got a chief of police in place. And, that was a big night for the town, and you were a big part of that. So that sticks out as one of the highlights for me. There'll probably be others for you, but that just showed how your character and how you put the town first. So thank you.
Thank you, Carlo.
I should have also thanked you for being my vice chair. That was critical. So thank you for that.
My
On
pleasure.
behalf of the board, we did want to provide this
Oh, thank you.
inspirational.
It always seems impossible until it's done. That's so true.
And it was so good of you never to say this is impossible, but you may have been thinking of it. So we're so grateful for your contribution.
Thank you so much, Karen. Well, thank you so much to my fellow board members for those really kind words. And thank you to the board and to town staff, our new town manager, for your service. I think very few people can understand or appreciate the time, energy, and sacrifice your service demands. So thank you. To my family, especially my husband Ryan, thank you for your love and support. Michael and Charlie, I'm looking forward to being there more for bedtime on Tuesday nights. But as you grow up, I hope you'll understand the importance of all of us doing our part to care for our neighbors. And to the Reading community, I appreciate all the support we've received, not only politically, but personally as well. And thank you for the honor to serve in this role. It's been one of the great honors and privileges of my life. So thank you.
Do you want to take a picture with the family up here? Did you already take one?
We did do it. We did do one. We did do
Okay,
some
good.
pictures
All right.
right before.
Okay, great. Okay, all right, sorry, I gotta stick around for another 3 or 4 hours. Thank you.
It says 9:45 on my thingy.
I know, so that would be great. Let's stick the agenda and we'll all be home. I was reviewing select board meeting minutes, they used to adjourn at 8:15. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Okay, next, select board liaison and town manager reports. Does anybody have liaison reports they'd like to come forward with? Mark?
Thanks, Karen. So I want to kind of do a liaison report together for the Council on Aging and for the Recalc Committee. I want to make sure the community is aware that on Wednesday, April 6th, there are going to be 2 community forums held to solicit input about the needs for a senior center and multi-generational center. The first one is going to be at 1 o'clock at the Pleasant Street Center from 1 to 2:30. And the second will be the same evening from 6 to 7:30 at the Reading Public Library. And all members of the community are welcome and encouraged to attend. There will be other sessions going forward, but these are the community forums. There'll be other things that the Recalc group will present tonight and share what's going on. But I want to really emphasize the 6th is a great opportunity to come in. And I think that's it.
Excellent. Chris?
Thanks, Aaron. The biggest one for the school committee is obviously the Killam School got accepted into the MSBA's eligibility period. So that's a big step up for Reading, and next steps with Fidel and Dr. Milichevsky and everyone else that are going to have to get that moving forward. And then obviously the ARPA committee We had our initial meeting. We have another meeting tomorrow. And Mary Ann Downing was chair of that committee, and Mark Dox is the vice chair. So looking forward to lots of discussion tomorrow regarding that, and I think that's all I got.
Carla?
All right, Reading Recreation, I wasn't able to attend the whole meeting, but I caught the beginning of the meeting, and the Friends of Reading Baseball are trying to coordinate a wiffle ball and cornhole tournament as a fundraiser for Reading Baseball. And some of the board members suggested to try to fit it in that in-between time of Town Day, when Town Day, then a break, then the fireworks with the Lions Club. So they're gonna work on that. And if anyone didn't know already, I like to call it the Green Tomato Last Corner Building, Chute Street got approved. It was a very long meeting, and I'm sure there's waivers, but I didn't get to see how many waivers there are. Usually, approval comes with waivers. And then 459 Main Street, 120 Tire is to be continued. And there's also a Board of Library Trustees meeting that night that I was unable to attend. All three meetings were one night. And I was able, I think all of us were there, I know Mark was there, at the forum, at the candidate forum, which was well attended. And hopefully a lot of people saw it on Zoom. And I was just wondering if you were planning to apologize for your rude and unprofessional behavior that night.
Are you all done with your liaison report?
Yes.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, Ann.
So my last liaison report as public safety liaison is that there is a pinning ceremony scheduled jointly between the fire and police departments for May 4th at 7 p.m. at the Performing Arts Center. So that's, everyone can mark their calendars. It'll be a public event and is kind of long overdue with the challenges of the pandemic. There are, I don't actually, do you have the numbers of officers who have to be pinned? They're
I do,
they're
yeah.
high,
In this
they're
room?
quite a few.
14 officers on the
Wow.
police side
Mhm.
and 14 on the fire side.
Wow,
So
so that'll be
28 officers, well, actually, 29 now with Officer Cooper.
Okay, oh my goodness. The cutest officer, no offense to anyone else, but Officer Cooper is the comfort service dog who is coming on and is very adorable from the pictures I've seen, so.
That's May 4th, Ann, you said? May 4th?
Yes, May 4th at 7 p.m. at the PAC.
Excellent, and I'm sure we'll see updates from Town Hall. Doing a great job on the social media. I can't wait to meet our K-9 officer, that's awesome. Thank you, Ann. I did attend Mass DOER stretch code hearings. We heard from a lot of people across the street, other select board members, town administrators, activists, all kinds of residents, all basically collectively asking the state to make the stretch code as strong as possible, to not make it opt-in if we have any hope of meeting the climate law goals by 2050. And I do believe there are other, it's probably recorded, there are other DOER sessions ongoing, targeted at the western part of the state, but it's okay, you could still join in. So I encourage people to do that. We have a Green Communities update from our state reps. Rep Jones and Rep Haggerty reached out to the town this week to let us know that the House has passed the bills that they put forward on our behalf. So to make it easier for Reading to join Green Communities, so that's great news. And one down, and now it'll be headed to the Senate. And hopefully we'll look forward to some additional good news, and we'll be able to proceed on that. I did attend the ARPA committee meeting, and I was able to attend the Mass School Building Administration kickoff meeting, and it is really exciting that we've been accepted into that program. That's all I have.
Thank you. So I'll start with the joke that I told Mr. Haley. The training wheels are still on, but they're slowly coming off. It's my 6 week on on the job. And again, the main effort in these first few weeks is to get to know everyone and hear both the residents and the staff and the businesses. So we had a very positive event at the YMCA on Thursday of last week. It was very well attended, and there's 2 more events that are going to be are scheduled for this Thursday, and are really focused on the downtown. So the first one is at 8:30 at Cooperative Bank, and it's really targeted for small businesses. And the second one is at the Tin Bucket at 6 p.m. on Thursday as well. So I am really rejoicing in meeting everyone and hearing from all the residents and businesses as well. What are the priorities from everyone? So with that said, it's a good transition on an update on the bid on the business improvement district. So the downtown businesses are really working on creating a self-sustaining structure, and this is done through the bid. They are about 20% of signatories are on the bid, and of course they'll continue to gather signatures until they get to 60% of signatures, at which point the formal creation of the bid will be before the select board. With regards to operations, FinCom has approved our FY23 operating budget, and it sets us up well for a town meeting, which is going to start on April 25th, and again is going to be in person at the PAC. So I hinted earlier that we have a new member of the police force. I'm sure that you've seen him on social media. He is a big hit. I would say that way more popular than I am. So Officer Cooper has officially joined our ranks as of Monday, and we are all very excited about his joining. He is one of 2 comfort dogs. So the second dog is going to come in 3 weeks, and I think it brings a sense of celebration, right? I mean, a sense of a community, right? I mean, there is no one that is not going to want to approach this officer. And finally, just a warm welcome to Dr. Chatterjee. In the few weeks that she's been here, I've met her a few times, and similar to me, I think she brings a lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm, right? And I know that she is focused on getting to know all of Reading as well. Thank you.
Terrific. Excellent. Any questions from the board? All right. I was just wondering, has the bid given you an idea about how much more time they might need to get to a critical mass? And
Not yet. Not yet. I think they're trying to build momentum. You know what I mean? And I think I would say that realistically, probably the fall. Realistically, but we'll see.
great progress. All right. Next, how are we doing on time? 4 minutes behind. Okay, next we would open the floor to public comment. Mr. Brown?
Down there?
Sure, come on down.
Just a few things this morning. If you wander through Laurel Hill and see some ribbons around stones, we approved money for somebody to come in and do some restoration up there. It could be 2 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years project. The fellow, he's been doing work in Burlington, Stoneham, and Gloucester, and he does it as it is. This morning, we approved the funding for the flowers for the veterans for Memorial Day, and I hope we can do well. And we need some volunteers, if anybody would like to help us put out markers, because my knees aren't getting any younger. And the town manager and I had a little discussion the other day We're trying to get the vocational school to see if they can draw us plans for my cemetery building. And I hope you get it before I die, because I don't want a building named after me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Yes?
We've got a long time. We've got a long time.
Yeah.
Right now.
Hi, Richard Abadi, Applegate Lane. I'm here tonight in the capacity of the president of the Reading Police Department Supervisory Officers Association, and I have just a quick statement to read, if that's okay. Back in September, representatives of all the first responders groups in town, police, fire, and dispatch, attended the financial forum, of which the main topic of discussion that night was distribution of ARPA funds. Firefighter Forsyth read a joint statement requesting that the group strongly consider allocating some of these funds to premium pay for essential personnel that worked during the onset of the epidemic, a category specifically delineated in the ARPA grant. I've given copies of that letter that was read to Fidel here in September. Now that the ARPA Advisory Committee has formed and begun meeting, we are once again renewing this request. On March 8th, while reviewing the purpose of the advisory group set forth by the Select Board, it was made clear that the Select Board may authorize expenditure of these funds at any time without consulting the committee. In fact, already doing so to the tune of $200,000. Numerous communities have also done so. For example, Arlington, a community that was mentioned at last week's advisory committee meeting, has distributed 13% of their funds to premium pay for essential employees. We ask that you add this item to a future agenda in an effort to expedite the matter, and in the meantime, our group would gladly hold discussions with the town manager and present all the material we have gathered on what other communities are doing or have done with this funding. We will also be attending, as a group, the advisory committee meetings to monitor that process and provide any information that group might need to help make their decision going forward whenever they are ready for input from the community. I know that during that meeting, you guys still had a long way to go after watching the last meeting, so wherever that might stand. And thank you very much. And just on a personal note, 2 personal notes actually, I'd like to thank Ann myself. Your level of commitment. You are the liaison for the police department, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you guys don't just meet here on Tuesday nights. You're always really accessible to us whenever we needed you. Your empathy and understanding was second to none, and so was your level of professionalism. And good luck to the town finding someone to fill your shoes. Hopefully we get lucky enough. And number 2, I'd like to think that I'm the most adorable police officer at the police department. To each their own. I mean, Cooper's pretty cute, but we'll see what he turns out.
I have to thank you.
Thank you.
I had a hallway full of kids yesterday.
I know. I got an office full of adults.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment this evening?
Any other contestants for the cuteness?
Yeah, that's right. Jackie, do we have anybody on Zoom who might like to speak at public comment?
No hands raised right now.
Okay, thank you.
Could I ask a follow-up of Rich real quick? Just not to put you on the spot, but I'm sure we'll need a figure to take into consideration. Are we talking it's $3 million is back pay if you scaled it out for everybody, or like if you have something to present maybe tomorrow or whatever?
Yeah, I can bring some stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that 13% of Arlington's money was about $4 million. So, I'm not sure how big or how they distribute that. You know? I think Arlington was 35 million.
Yeah.
Sound right? So I'm
But
not
if you
sure-
could find
I'm
out.
not sure if they had 100 first responders, 300 first responders. I mean, I can get that information.
Thank you.
I think that Arlington only took, it came out to $600 or $6,500, whatever the distribution was.
Thanks.
Thank you. Our next item, if there are no more public comments, is a public hearing at 7:30, approved transfer of liquor license for 530 Main Street.
Second, and I will.
Yeah, take your time, we're a little ahead of time, so we could also, if somebody would like to take a quick, okay,
Yeah,
so,
she can't open it yet. Can't open it.
yeah, so we could take a break. Could you adjourn for a few minutes? Adjourn, but I don't know what we need to do.
Recess?
We can recess for 4 minutes. How's that? 4 minutes? Okay.
125,000 acres. 125,000.
We're back from recess. Let me take a quick moment to note that tonight's meeting of the Select Board is recorded by RCTV live, Comcast Channel 22 or Verizon Channel 33, and the videographer for tonight's meeting is Rob. Check out rctv.org for more information and for replay times. Okay, and now we can, public hearing at 7:30.
Beautiful. To the inhabitants of the town of Reading, please take notice that the Select Board of the town of Reading will hold a public hearing on March 22nd, 2022 at 7:30 PM in the Select Board Meeting Room, 16 Lowell Street, Reading, Massachusetts, and remotely via Zoom on the proposed transfer of an annual restaurant all alcohol license, MGL C-138, Section 12, located at 530 Main Street, Reading, from Unagi Servers, Inc., DBA Biltmore and Main Bar and Grill, to the BI Incorporated, DBA Public Kitchen. The applicant proposes Michelle Marcoulier Shaw as the licensed manager. The application seeks only to transfer the existing license to a new legal entity. The application does not seek to move the existing license to a new location. A copy of the proposed documents regarding this topic will be available in the Select Board packet on the website at www.readingma.gov. All interested parties are invited to attend the hearing or may submit their comments in writing or by email prior to 6 p.m. on March 22nd, 2022 to townmanager@ci.reading.ma.us by order of Fidel Maltez, Town Manager. Okay, thank you. That is the first one.
So we have the council, Mr. Albrecht. I don't know if you want to start your presentation?
Good evening. My name is Glenn Albrecht. I am providing services to Mr. Tellieri with respect to several of his businesses, including this one. He has a business plan that I'm sure he would like to tell you more about to bring what I think is going to be just an outstanding restaurant to Reading. He has one of this type and variety of restaurant already operating in another town very successfully. He owns several other restaurants and he has been operating them for 4 years, has much experience, has run first-rate operations on a consistent basis, is much respected in the communities where he operates, and I think I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Tellieri so he can tell you something about the business.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Back in 2017, we opened Public Kitchen in Wakefield. And like myself, we felt a lot of families that moved to the suburbs around here. I'm from Melrose, I grew up in Stoneham, Wakefield, Reading. We had this concept when we were in the city that we could go out and get good food in a nice environment, get great cocktails and drink great craft beer. Things change, we get older, we have kids, we end up in the suburbs, and now we go where our kids will find something to eat. And if the kids find something to eat and they actually happen to have good food, a great environment, great cocktails, and great draft beer, it's a home run. So that was our concept coming into Public Kitchen in Wakefield. And like I said, we opened in 2017. It's been great. We've been very a part of the community. We think that our concept will work perfectly in Reading, and we're very excited for the opportunity to bring it here.
Thank you.
Sounds exciting. Children welcome, that's always a good message.
If you have a
Small
good
children
kids
welcome.
menu, we have a lot of high chairs, we have plenty of room to bring in your carriages. It's, if parents are happy, kids are happy, parents are happy.
Family friendly. You come in there on the weekend and there's sports teams getting together before or after, parties of 12, multiple families. The kids are happy, the parents are happy, everyone's having a good time. We really have put ourselves as part of that community. We look forward to doing it here, and just kind of getting to know you as you get to know us, but we look forward to building a good relationship.
Wonderful. Mark? He's quick, Chris.
Thanks for sharing with us kind of the vision that you have, and it sounds great. I'm wondering if you can clarify a couple of things for us. Most specifically, or maybe a little backdrop. we really appreciate the family atmosphere in town. I think it's really important. It's really important to us that alcohol laws are upheld very strongly. And it's something that I guess I've taken on the role of sharing that with all the applicants as they come in. But it's really important to the community. At different points, we had issues and ended up dealing with them fairly sternly, and it's been great since. And love that you guys are interested in having a really fun concept, and just ask that you be really careful about that. I know that, I think that there was a hearing you folks had today about something that went on at a Boston restaurant.
Yes.
Just wondering if you can, so I think we as board members received a little bit of an update, but I'm wondering if you might be able to share with us kind of what happened. And
I'll briefly explain the incident. Back on December 19th, Friday night, a couple came into the bar at about 12:30, which is not uncommon because it's a lot of service people come in late. We serve food until 1:30 in the morning, close at 2. Couple came in, sat down, looked fine, bartender served them a drink. Little did he know that the girl had gotten fired early in the day from her bartending job, was drinking all day with a guy that she met. They came in together, came into Anchovies, they had a drink. About a half an hour later, it was very evident that she was getting a little despondent. They were trying to get her home. This guy wanted to go home with her, and they were like, "You're not leaving with her." They started to let her walk out. She was gonna walk home, she's in the neighborhood. They told the guy not to leave. He darted out after her. 4 patrons went out after him. It spilled down to the next block. There was a fight. This was the incident. My bartender didn't even know there were cops, there was a fight, there was nothing until the next day. It was really all about some of the patrons of Anchovies looking out for another regular customer that she didn't get into trouble because she was drunk. It was unfortunate that she had her last drink at our establishment, but those are the pitfalls sometimes in owning an establishment. We've owned Anchovies since 2006. Our first violation, we have Panzer in the North End, that's a beer and wine license. No violations. Giacomo's in Melrose since 2016. No violations. Public Kitchen, which we took over, which was kind of a rougher place that had a lot of incidents. Karen's turned that around completely. No incidents.
Thank you. Thank you for answering it. Thank you for
Thanks for your
Yes.
transparency.
Yeah.
I also did bring one of the witness statements, if you want me to leave it, that you guys can read it later. It's one of the people that was at the bar that the police mentioned in the police report, and it was her statement about the entire evening, and it's, it's a good read.
Sure. And if I may, I'd
Thank
like
you.
to add, I mean, with a liquor license, there's always the stipulations and the worries of incidences like that. But we pride ourselves on not being a bar that serves food, we're a restaurant that serves alcohol. So, I mean, there are many nights that we cut it short and say, you know what, let people continue to go drink elsewhere. We've done our part. We serve food, people enjoy cocktails, and at the end of the day, we all go home. So, I mean, kind of our concept.
Yeah, we won't stretch it. If we have the 1 o'clock, I think we have 1 o'clock in Wakefield, we're never open till 1.
Right now, 11:30, we're out the door.
Yeah, we don't want to be the last place. We don't want any of the riffraff.
Thank you. Very, very helpful and very much appreciated.
Thanks, Karen. I've been to the Wakefield one before. Like I said, I had a great experience there, and I'm definitely looking forward to not having to drive there and finding a convenient parking spot right out front over here in Reading. So I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you.
Welcome to Reading.
Thank you.
Yeah, same here. I've been to your establishment many times, and great atmosphere, good food. We have friends in Wakefield, and we'll either meet them there or go on our own. We lived there 11 years prior to your establishment, but that was many iterations even before Karen's. But it's nice to see that someone's doing well in this tough environment. Thank you.
Well, point of information, I don't actually know what our regs are for closing. How late do our restaurants stay open, or what have you been told? Because I'm not usually up that late.
I did read through the regs a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember if it was midnight or 1,
I'm
but
thinking it's
I
like midnight.
think either one of them is not,
That's what I
yeah, we're not gonna be close to that.
We kind of get quiet here at night, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fine for us. We'll be glad to go home
I know.
early.
Right, yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing with us as well, and we welcome innovative businesses to Reading, and we've seen a big change in our downtown in the last 15 years, and it's all headed in a good direction, and Biltmore has been a destination, and that's where you're going, correct?
Yes.
Yes, thanks. So it's a great spot, easy for people to find. I think it should work out well for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And lots of new residents coming in, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good place to walk to.
Ready for a motion?
Yeah, do we
Oh,
have a
sorry,
motion
to
then
public,
open to the public?
So I did not receive any comments prior to the meeting. Jackie, is anyone wanting to speak on this item?
No hands on Zoom.
Anybody here
Anyone here on
wishing
this
to
item?
make any comments?
What type of food do you serve?
It's a gastropub.
Upscale tavern.
Yeah, upscale tavern from some Asian flair, some Spanish tacos, short ribs, flatbread pizzas, Thai lettuce wraps, you can be healthy and you can be gluttonous.
We'll check it out.
Scratch kitchen, everything's made from scratch, be good around there.
Good, sounds wonderful.
Sounds better than the old greasy spoon that used to be there. Running good.
So move to close the public hearing.
Second? Any discussion, board members? Okay, we ready for a vote? All those in favor? 5-0.
Ready for another motion?
Yes, thank you.
Move to approve the transfer of an annual restaurant all alcohol license located at 530 Main Street, Reading. Sorry, was someone interrupted?
It's feedback.
Oh, just feedback. Sorry. All right, let me try that one more time, sorry. Move to approve the transfer of an annual restaurant all alcohol license located at 530 Main Street, Reading from Unagi Servers, Inc., DBA Biltmore and Main Bar and Grill to the VI, am I doing it right, or is it the 6?
VI.
The VI. The VI Incorporated DBA Public Kitchen with Michelle Marcoulier Shaw, or Marcoulier? Marcoulier Shaw as the licensed manager.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion, board members? We ready for a vote? All those in favor? 5-0.
Welcome, folks.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, boys.
I'll see you soon.
Yes.
We will, indeed.
Okay. On to our next item. We have the privilege of introducing a meeting for the first time. Dr. Chatterjee, Director for Equity and Social Justice, welcome to Reading.
Thank you.
This is a great opportunity to meet you. Why don't you come up and tell us what you're excited about, and how you found us?
So I'll do a quick intro if you
Thank
don't
you.
mind. If you don't mind. So Dr. Chatterjee is a scholar, practitioner in the field of human rights, social justice, and inclusive governance. She has a PhD from the University of Massachusetts, Boston, and has in the past engaged as faculty in several universities in the greater Boston area. Prior to this role, Dr. Chatterjee served as a certified diversity and outreach associate at Opus Search Partners, an executive search firm in higher education and academic medicine. Thank you.
Thank you, Fidel. Is it okay if I stand here?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm glad to be, back doing business in person, not totally, though. So it's great to be here. Thank you for introducing me. I'm very excited at this opportunity, and frankly, very encouraged by this kind of, town-wide support and enthusiasm about this role. Of course, the Division of Equity and Social Justice is new, so we'll evolve that over time, and looking forward to working with all of you closely. But at this time, I think we foresee kind of, continuing to sustain, grow, and build the already, existing robust initiatives and efforts existing in the town, as well as continuing to think with partners collaboratively about designing new efforts and partnerships and programs. So I'm currently a Reading resident. Me and my husband, we moved last weekend, so it'll be nice to kind of see all of you around over the weekends maybe. My office hours are 9 to 5, but I can be flexible, so please feel free to kind of drop in at the library. I'm in my office at the lower level. And yeah, I'm looking forward to assisting the community in whichever way possible and, helping the community realize its vision of an inclusive Reading for all. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
We're excited to meet you, and I just need to take a moment to recognize how much collaboration and effort from volunteers in this community it took to get you here. This is incredibly exciting. I'm gonna ask my vice chair to help me. I definitely want to recognize the Human Relations Advisory Committee for their hard work over many years. We have two. We have the current chair in the audience. We have the previous chair in the audience. Thank both of you and all of the other resident volunteers. We actually had a period early 2021 where we're having trouble getting a quorum, and Reading stood up and sent volunteers to make this happen. So we need to thank you. Did you want to, Madam Chair?
First.
You first. Come on, Josh. We'd love to hear from you. You didn't used to have gray hair.
No, I didn't. I got a little bit older.
You had kids. I know, right?
Yes, I have kids. And the gray hair proves it. Anyway, thank you, board. Thank you, select board. Thank you. Really excited for the opportunity here for the town as we continue to grow. Hi, Fidel. Nice to get a chance to meet you. Sorry. I'll talk to new folks. So, like I said, just as a Reading citizen, been here for about 6 years, very excited for the opportunity, the growth that it's going to wind up bringing, the outreach within the community, and really how it's going to start to bring people together, really across the schools, the businesses, and the broader community, just as we get a chance to spend more time outside and interacting with one another. So really can't wait to see the types of programs that you're able to bring forward, really as it stretches universally across and touches everyone within the town. So thank you and appreciate the opportunity
Thank
to
you
speak.
so much, Josh. Congratulations. Sharilla, would love to hear from HRAC.
I'd like to thank the select board and Ann. Oh my God, we're so sad that you're leaving. It was wonderful working with you on ad hoc. You are amazing. Many of nights I spent meeting with Ann and the rest of the ad hoc committee, and then driving home to Boston. And I'm finally a Reading resident, and I'd like to welcome you. And as the current chair of HRAC, look forward in collaborating ways with you in helping our community go a long way to what we want to see, which is an all-inclusive community, more or less a family environment for all of us. And also with the school, because I also work at the school, so I'm excited about how we can bring the two communities, the inside and the outside, the youth and the elderly, seniors, the lovely young men like this one here, together. So,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ann, did you want to speak about?
I'm Dr. Chatterjee, so delighted that you are here, both that you've joined our community as a resident and that you've joined our wonderful library staff to serve the full community as the Director of Equity and Social Justice. Karen was absolutely correct. There's a lot of work that went into establishing the position. I'm remembering it was January in 2020 when the ad hoc committee had already been meeting for nearly a year when we took in sort of an informal poll as to whether we wanted to proceed in the direction of recommending a full-time staff member. Josh was in the room, Cheryl was in the room, I think. I mean, there were a number of stakeholders, including the police chief there, and it was a unanimous poll that this was the direction we should proceed, and it's incredibly gratifying to have you join us, and I'm so looking forward to seeing the work that you do and helping to support you in that work as a resident, since I'll no longer be on the board, but it feels really gratifying that you are here on my last evening as a select board member. So so grateful that you're here and very impressed by all of your credentials and really enjoyed meeting with you and seeing and hearing the energy and vision that you're bringing to this position. So thank you for joining us and look forward to the work to come.
Thank you, Ann.
Chris?
Thanks, Karen. And welcome to Reading twice at this point now, which is pretty amazing to see that you moved here. It's like one house for sale, like. So I don't know how this happened, but yeah, I was just wondering, have you had a chance to settle in? And if you're able to just walk me through kind of what a typical day has looked like for you since you've been on board?
Sure. At this time, 22 years old into the job, so still kind of, feeling my legs and getting to meet the community. But I think one of the first tasks has just been, and one of the best things has been just like people reaching out across divisions, residents, members. It's been great. So at this time, it looks like discovery meetings, stakeholder conversations, moving towards some kind of like a strategic plan, and then, building programs and initiatives around that eventually.
So would you say that those are some of your short-term goals too for the first year?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think one of the things is that I'm very passionate about DEI kind of work, but it does take time. So lots of exciting ideas, and not all of it, not my own. I don't want to take credit because it's already like so many great things happening in the town. But thinking about kind of integrating all of that and then building new programs as and when we realize what the community needs are.
Perfect. Welcome to Reading again.
Thank you, Christopher.
Board members, we're good?
Yeah, thank you and welcome. I was asked by Amy as the liaison to be part of the final interview process, so I met Dr. Chatterjee several months ago via interview, and credentials spoke for herself, and it was up to Amy in the end to, the tough decision of who to make an offer to. So I'm glad that happened, and look forward to the first year as you settle in. And it's great that you came to Reading, be part of the community. I think that will help us and you a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited, thank you, and we're all in person, it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, we're gonna get an update on the new town website. The moment you've all been waiting for.
Take it away. Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm going to turn it over to Jane to do most of the presentation. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather tonight, but I think you're going to all enjoy the new website, seeing the new website and the tour that she's going to take you on. And we had a really great team working on this, and I just wanted to thank everybody up front who worked on it. So obviously Jane Wellman, who's here tonight to give you the presentation, Kevin Perilla, Jackie Liberti, Amy Kerr, Patrick McLaughlin, Jen Ioshawa, Erin Schaefer, and of course our town managers. Bob was instrumental in getting the funding through, and Fidel has been a big supporter and a cheerleader for the project. So I want to thank all of them tonight. And when Jane's ready to share her screen, she's going to give you a tour, and then we're happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, folks, nice to see you. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep.
You can see it.
You can see it looks great.
All right, great. So here is the homepage of the new website. I'm going to take you through some quick features, give you some time to ask some questions. This is our seal, our town seal. We have this welcome to Reading language here and this banner photo that changes. We have, I think, 5 photos loaded up here that show different parts of the town, and we're always looking for new photos, so folks can email me their photos if they'd like. Up here, unlike the last website, you can create an account and have a customized experience with the website, so we encourage folks to do that. Here we have quick links to our police, fire, public works, economic development page. Here, this may look familiar to you, department directory, our boards. This is some things that our residents are particularly interested in. We have some business-focused links here, and then how do I, which is if you're coming to the page to pay your dog license or look for a job, you can do that really quickly here. When you scroll, the search bar and all of this stays here. This is the global navigation. And so this stays locked at the top of the page, so you never have to go searching for the search bar. Here we have these, it's nice animation that Civic Plus put in for us. It's a brick red. We spent quite a bit of time with the design team to come up with the color scheme for the website and the design. And so this color brick is inspired by our architecture in downtown Reading. So what we have here is Stay Connected. This goes to ways that you can be in relationship with the town, so you can get notifications through email, Code Red. The fire department has a new service where you can go out to this site and put in your information, your profile, that will give our first responders critical information if you have special medical needs and other needs. And then here we have See Click Fix. You can sign up here. However, we also have, you can make your online payments, you can look for employment, you can apply for licenses and permits, you can look at GIS maps and assessor information, and you can put in your service requests. We love to receive service requests through See Click Fix. And when you go to See Click Fix directly here, you can put in any particular kind of issue you want. You don't have to sign into the system, and give us all that information. So this is a fantastic service. We encourage that. Moving down here, we have town news. So these are updates. Here's our community forum for the Pleasant Street Center that's coming up. This tells you, it's a little news flash on how to create an account and sign up for website notifications. We'll be continuing to put news flashes up here, just like we do now. This one's for Mark Doxer. This is our Facebook feed. This is live, and you can scroll down to see what we're putting up on Facebook.
Okay, Boomer.
All of that.
Okay, that was a joke, just got it.
Same thing with Twitter. And what's nice about it is you don't have to interact with it. You don't have to have an account. You can still see what we're posting here. So this is great stuff. If you click here, this will take you to a list of news items. So as we fill out that section, you can see all of the news sections we have, but this is more of a highlight. Again, there's some animation built in here, which is nice. Down here we have our calendar. So we have our meetings calendar, and you can see these are where our official meetings live. And we have a community events calendar now. So we have the Carbon Countdown coming up here, and then going forward into April, we populated this with the Pleasant Street Center discussions that are coming up on April 6th. And the same way here, you click through to this and you'll get a whole list. And then down here, standard sort of stuff. Here's our bylaws and regulations. You may recognize this page from before, but everything's in one place and it all exists in one place. So if we post it on other parts of the website, it links back to this one place. So we only have to update it in one place and it populates across every place else we have it on the site. And that's true for most of it. We had well over 500 pages on the old website, so we reduced it down to about 250. We're continuing to build out pages and content and keeping it updated, but we got rid of a lot of the bloat that was there before, and that should make the search functionality much more precise. And then we have links to our social media accounts down here, so you can pop right out to RCTV and look at meetings and so forth really easily here. We may also in the future be able to embed meetings in this space right here. So somebody can come to the homepage of the website and watch the select board meeting right on the homepage. We have not built that out yet. That's a little bit more experimental, but we will get there. So that is effectively what we're looking at here. I'll take you to the select board page right here. This is what your page looks like right now. Again, different set of photos that move through here. And we have here email and contact information. What this does right now is if you click on this, it launches a form. And this will go to your particular email, each board member. And it will come, if you're signed into the system, it will show, if I'm signed in, it will show that I sent it to you. You can do attachments and so forth. We recommend this contact functionality versus an email. So if I click on email to select board, it opens my email browser, my email client rather. But when we know about half of our users use mobile devices to access our website, and this is not ideal for mobile users because they don't often have their email client connected to their web browser on their phone. So we recommend using the contact information. So I'm going to leave it open to questions for folks, but that is the highlight of your new website.
Chris?
Thanks, Karen, and thanks, Jane. I hope you like constructive criticism because I deal with technology and website stuff like all day. So the biggest thing for me is I think the color scheme does look amazing. Like the whole site looks incredible to me. I just think that the blue should be red for Reading. Otherwise, it's a complete rebrand of the entire town, I think, at this point. I don't know if they can just, change the color scheme thing and then someone else can see something if the red ends up working kind of scenario. But hopefully that's just the 30 seconds that it would take me to change my own. Just to see it. I don't know if, what they're contracted to do, et cetera. The other thing, when you hover over boards, depending on the device that you're on, you might have to scroll down and it gets into that awkward area where you can't scroll while hovering and because there's so many. So I don't know if something can be done for that. Maybe a more button instead of having, 85 things that are listed, just, the top couple boards that people typically would go to and then have the more button that will show all the other ones.
So, Chris, just to respond to that, we'd probably do like an A to H and kind of compress it into categories like that.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody went on the prior website to the select board, the bylaw committee, and the rules committee all the time, like perhaps you could have those hot ones and then you could just hit the more button that would display all the rest. And then you would encounter the scenario that you currently have. The other thing is, I know you brought up the emails, but I would be against doing it the direction that you went because you can still send anonymous stuff that way. So sending it the select board way at the top right is fine, but the other way is still anonymous. So I could put whatever stuff in there. And we had an issue with that happening before. That's personally how I feel. It's not, I don't speak for everyone else here. And then the public records button at the bottom does not work. So it doesn't actually take you to the public records. It's right there under quick links. It takes you to something else.
Okay, yes.
So that's why, like, when I was gonna click on that to just do the research of how our public records went from the old site to this, as long as we're not losing that functionality and all of those, I wasn't able to look at that, just to confirm. But I also think that the public records should be one of its own circle buttons, like how you have the stay connected, online payments, employment. Obviously, these fit on the screen condensed, adding another one is annoying, but if on the prior website, a majority of people were going to the website for the public records request, I think it should be one of these featured buttons here. If, 5% of the population was going there for that, then absolutely not. It can still stick on the bottom like how you have it. So I don't know if you have the analytics to see what people were doing before, but I know for me, it took me sometimes 5-10 minutes to even find where it was on the old website, and that's after me doing it a couple times. And, it was just buried there at the bottom and, But that's all I got. Short and sweet, I guess. But other than that, I mean, the thing looks amazing. The photos cycling through, even how it's like laid out, like it's pretty incredible. So definitely a job well done with that.
Thank you, Chris. So yeah, we have complete analytics on the site. Public records is not in one of the top 10 or I don't even think 50.
I would never have guessed that.
But I can look that up for you and give you the exact information.
If that's what it is, then it doesn't get a nice big circle there.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'd like to make a comment on that. The old website is not collecting the analytics for going to Laserfish, where all the public documents are. So I can state that that is being used quite often.
Would you guess, Laura, that it's like 25% if you had, like, how many people are saying that they were going to the website that you know of? Like, is it a common occurrence for public records?
I can go into, I can get that number for you to give you an exact number tomorrow, because I can go into the system and see, but I can state that it's very often.
All right, yeah,
because they go into where the records are for Laserfish itself. So on the old website, there's a link that says public records that takes you how to request. That link is not used very often, but going to Laserfish is.
Nice, yeah. So I do know that I did go the the other day to look on there, and it did hit the maximum amount of connections or whatever, so like it wanted you to log into some random account. So that's why I was kind of wondering how we don't have that much traffic, yet it's locking people out from being able to actually get to it. So it would be good to have.
And that's happening often.
Yep. Perfect. But no, like I said, I see this stuff all day, every day, and this is pretty amazing. So I'm very pleased with it.
Great,
Thanks,
thank
Karen.
you. Other questions?
Hi, Jane. So first, thank you for listening to me and the few things. So look, this is a quantum leap from where it was in terms of ease of use. So thank you very much for making this happen. I know it was a lot of nagging and things, and then when we were able to do it, I think you've done a really nice job with it. So thank you for all of that stuff. I'm sure we'll all have comments, because it may be that we're among the top users of the site ourselves anyway. So I'm sure we'll have comments to go to that. But I'm ecstatic about ease of use and just kind of seeing this change. Can't wait for it to be introduced to the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I just echo that 100%. It's fantastic. So thank you for all your work. I know I've been hearing for many years about difficulty in accessing information on the town website, and this just seems like it stands head and shoulders above what we currently have. So thank you for all your efforts. Carla?
Thank you, Ann.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Jane's on the screen right now, but thank you everyone for all the work, and obviously the contractor did a lot of work. And this is way above my pay grade, but it just looks amazing. And I'm on the old site right now, the current site, and there's blue all over that. And this blue is a different blue, but I would love to see some red. I'm kind of, I go to the site a lot too, and it other than seeing the pictures and the buildings that are red, which we're going to have here, not a big issue, but if that could be more representative of our red, black, and white colors, that'd be great. If it can't, no big deal, because our site right now is pretty much blue.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I would agree with my colleagues, Jane. Fantastic, and to the whole team, and Mark especially. I've trained myself. I go to this website all the time. I already gave feedback to Fidel that I need our select board meetings up on the calendar, even if they haven't been official yet, so that it's easy to find them, and same with all the boards. So yeah, we're definitely big users. This looks fantastic. I don't have any problem with blue. I do have the other site up. I had the initial thought that, yeah, maybe it should be red. On the other hand, I'm like, well, okay, those are just the school colors, so, I see that you incorporated some maroon accents when you click on those service buttons sort of at the top, which is nice. And on the old site, you've got some maroon lettering, so I'm sure you could tweak it. It looks phenomenal. It really does. So this is exciting, and hopefully the community we'll have some additional photos to share with you. Maybe we can get the new officer picture up there. That'd be fun.
Yes.
That'd be fun.
Yes.
We look like we know what we're doing on this
Definitely
site.
want
Thank you.
Cooper and
Great
Rich.
idea. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate all of your feedback. And I encourage residents, if they have photos that they'd like to send, or if they're looking through the site and they're finding something that they need to see that we don't have in there, to let us know. My email is jwellman, WELLMAN, @ci.reading.ma.us. On the website, and folks would be able to look at it. This will be launching tomorrow afternoon. Okay. So it'll go live and folks will be able to use it. We will have access to the existing website for a couple of months. So folks, if they know where something is there, they can find it there as they develop ease of use with the new system. And I just want to give a shout out to our team, who's just been an outstanding group to work with. Matt mentioned them earlier, and Matt was great to work with as well. And we appreciate the support from the select board and from Bob and Fidel for all of the work that we've done. And also especially to our different departments who rallied and really stepped up. Our fire department in particular did a great job with their page. They made their own, these are called widget buttons. They made their own widget buttons, And they put a lot more information in here. There's a bunch of pages that aren't published yet, but they're all, I can see them and they're all in draft form and they're all here. So they're building out a lot of information. But they've taken it to heart and made their pages their own. And this is the police department and they have a lot of information here. So it's fantastic. We're making it easier for people to give a service request in multiple places. And we're also mindful of economic development in our business community and trying to make it easier for them to come on, do their business quickly, find what they need, and be able to go and do the things that they need to engage town services. With regard to the blue, this was a design decision. Red is typically chosen to keep people from staying on the site very long. There's a lot of color theory that went into this. It was not a capricious choice. It was done deliberately, so I'm happy to have more of those conversations with you offline. I don't want to take up your time tonight. But yeah, we're looking for more photos and we do want to represent the community well through all these banner images. So that's what I have for you this evening.
Quick question, Jane, you said tomorrow it's going to go live. So if you go to readingma.gov at some point tomorrow, you'll be taken to the new site, and if so, if you needed to get to the old, how would you get there?
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to put the old website, we're going to link it here on this banner here, so you can find like the old site and we'll put it right here at the end. So it'll be very easy. I think right now you can see there's this URL here that we've been working off of. And I think they're going to switch, so we have some questions into our team at Civic Plus, just to make sure that's seamless. It takes Google and search engines like 24, 48 hours to crawl it and move it over. So for a little bit of time this week, you might search something on Google and you go to the old site versus the new site. And so that'll happen a little bit before everything kind of moves over. So, and we'll be moving all of our subscriber information over later this week. We didn't want to do it before the page launched. And then we'll be able to start sending out the existing subscriber list. But we do encourage folks to come to the Stay Connected page and sign up for notifications here. And you can put in your email address and sign up for all kinds of stuff.
Oh, that's great. Wonderful.
So there's a lot, yeah, it's very easy to do, so.
So speaking of easy, quick question. So, and it might be a segue into a little bit into the next agenda item. So I was trading emails with a select board member in North Reading, and they have a much simpler email address. The ci.reading.ma.us, that's pretty complicated. Is that locked into a website? What drives that?
I'm gonna punt to our IT director, Kevin Ferrella, so thank you for that question.
Kevin may be on, but I mean, I think we may be switching that
Yes.
to the
Okay.
easier.
So the in my hiring process, I kind of said the same thing. I mean, I can't memorize it yet either. It's like ci.ed, anyway.
Reading.ci.
So
Terrible.
we were not ready to reveal it,
Okay,
but soon. I'm not sure how long it's going to take Kevin to do it. We're going to have both. So if you email K Herrick at readingma.gov, they'll go to your email. But the old one is going to remain as well.
Okay.
So we're doing both.
It's almost more exciting than the new website.
No, not quite, but
That's great news. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I put you on the spot there. Good punting.
All right, we're good. Are we good? Shall I take it down? Take your last look? I love this drone picture. I'm a big fan.
Drones are awesome.
Jane, if you could actually leave it
Oh,
up,
I'm
because
sorry.
I think the next discussion item, we may, we're talking about boards and we may be able to show some of the boards and discuss some of the ideas there, so maybe just leave it up for now.
Great. We have a couple of questions from the audience.
Matt, I can share my screen because I'll be doing some of the clicking around.
Hold on one second. We've got a question from the room.
I actually have two questions. One, as an employee who had to finagle my way, trying to figure out all the trainings that were recommended and the trainings that were mandatory, is that going to be a lot easier to find and navigate through?
Write that down.
You'll find out tomorrow.
Because it took a lot for
I
me
didn't hear
to
the question well.
differentiate
Someone
which
could
was
repeat the question.
Do you want to have us repeat the question. So the question was in terms of training and finding out what the required or suggested trainings are. Does this site have a simpler way of navigating to that?
Training for the website?
Employee
For
training.
website or training?
Employee training.
So I work for the school, and when we had to do mandatory trainings, they sent us to the town website, and the town website indicated all of the training, so you have to differentiate which is recommended and which is mandatory. So is there going to be an easier way of identifying what needs to be done for which different groups?
What was the training on? Was it HR related training?
Yes.
Okay. So that's something that's really good feedback, and we can work on that. So we have like employee self-service, that's not training. That might be built out in here. If you're looking for a recommended training, you should be able to search for it easier. The search will work a lot better on this site than the last site, partly because there's not much bloatware, and partly because when we load information in here, we put in keywords and tag things. So that's a requirement of folks when they're posting here. So it should be easier for you to find what you're looking for, but I'd love to talk to you some more offline. And I hope that you will reach out to me, or if you shoot me your email, I can follow up with you and get some feedback from you on what you're looking for there.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do
My
that.
other question was, I don't know who's gonna be able to answer this, but I think as the town is moving forward to becoming a more inclusive community, that something that is definitely needed on the front cover, highlighted on that page, is a diversity and equity statement.
Okay.
And I particularly like the blue because it makes a nice background. Looks like the sky is over, the blue sky is over Reading.
And that's what the original site looks like too, with the blue skies actually.
You reminded me of something when you mentioned the diversity and equity statement. I did want to draw people's attention to, we have Google Translate built in on this website that we did not have before. So this was all loaded in actually the other day. And so folks can come and find a language, find their language and be able to better access our site. Also, this site is ADA compliant. That was a critical part of the design that Civic Plus really pushes, and their trainings and their materials to us and our staff ensures that we continue with ADA compliance as we post to our page. So news links and so forth. So it's really critical for us to do that, and we are excited about that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, I don't see any. Terrific. Okay, so we're gonna leave that up, and Laura's gonna participate in our next agenda item.
That's right.
Next item is discuss email policy for volunteer board / committee members.
So Laura,
So Jane, can you unshare? I'm sorry, Matt.
Oh, whatever, are you gonna share the same thing?
Yep.
Okay, that's fine, yep.
Okay. Do I just jump in, or did somebody else have anything to say, or?
go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things that has been requested is to be able to email board and committee members, but so the public can. Now, one of the things that if Jane already gave you an idea of what we're going to be doing on the new site, and so there's a couple of solutions to this. One is to make everybody's email address public itself, which we would have to get permission from every board and committee member to do that. The other is to set it up so every board and committee will be set up just exactly as it is here. And Jackie will be taking on the responsibility of that, making sure that this is up to date for every board and committee member. You'll click on it, It'll show you the form, and I know you mentioned that you can still have the ability to do it anonymously, but they have to put in a legitimate email address. And they have to put something in with the name, so that it's not totally anonymous. This way, the public can contact you without your email address being given out until you reply to them. If you reply to their email address, then they're going to get your private email address. This will be done for every board, committee, and commission. The hope is that this will give a solution for everyone to allow to be able to contact their board and committee members without making their personal email addresses public. And as Jane mentioned, this does open up an email, so all the boards that have a group email will be able to email the entire group, but as Jane mentioned, it does open up their email app to send out the email address itself. The select board, the finance committee, I'm not sure what other boards have a group email address, but
Library Board of Trustees.
comments? I'm sorry?
Library Board of Trustees.
Laura, you'd mentioned that
Yes.
with the form, they have to put in a legitimate email address. Could they not just put, abc123@gmail? I'm sure that's probably a real email address, but could someone put in at, xmail.com and that would suffice? Or do they need to verify through their own email address, or do they just have to put something in that field for it to go through?
Well, let's test this out and see what happens.
Well, that's probably somebody's real email address, is my guess, but.
That's right, it might be somebody's email address.
I'm
that's
sure
true.
it is, right? It probably.
Do I want to test this out?
There's no way
I don't think so.
123
Not-
at Gmail.
not live, it's okay. I don't think
There's just no way.
That's okay, maybe.
Are one of you able to check your email immediately?
Yeah, you can send it to me, Laura.
It's a lot of effort.
It's a lot of tractors.
Oh, God, I hate
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh, no.
It's a lot of effort for this.
I don't know who you are, but you're able to
Thank
just
you.
tell what a tractor is.
Okay, let's see if I get some.
Okay, so did you get an email?
Not yet, it'll take a sec.
Yeah, and I definitely understand the concern, but Kevin and I actually spoke about this on the
Okay.
forum, and we looked at a lot of town websites, right? I mean, in different organizations' website. What we find is that the majority of organizations do this. You know what I mean? Is it perfect? No, because it could be, Joe Biden sending you an email. Sure, that could happen, right? But this is the default current practice of most towns and cities in our area, unfortunately.
We were having issues months ago with someone utilizing the form, impersonating others, so we got rid of it at that point in time. Then there's been more, however, impersonation by people just making up or just creating email addresses. So there's no way, unfortunately, to probably protect 100% against those kind of.
If I may jump in, there's four solutions to this. One is not provide the email addresses at all to the public to be able to contact our board and committee members, which is not the best answer. Two is to provide the public with their private email addresses, which I personally will not do without their permission. The other is to provide an email address to every board and committee member as a town of Reading email address. However, that is extremely costly, both financially and on the staff of the IT. And then there's this form. This allows the public to be able to contact without giving them their personal email addresses unless they choose to by replying. they could forward the email to staff, and then the staff would then reply back versus providing their personal email address in the reply. So I believe that this is the best solution to be able to provide communication to the board and committee members without making everybody pretty upset by providing their private email addresses.
Chris?
Thanks, Sharon. I didn't get the email yet, Laura. It's probably because the site is pointing to the other thing or whatever scenario. So I don't think it's that big deal right now. Obviously, it has to work.
Jane, is this actually working since it hasn't gone live yet?
It should be working.
Yeah.
Yep, it should be working, but we can double check that. It might be because it's coming from the domains a little bit different. I'm not sure. I'm not anticipating any issues with that at this time, but we will find out tomorrow. And I'm sure, and I'd just like to say to folks, there will be little hiccups. I promise there will be hiccups. We'll try not to make any, but I promise that will likely happen. So just to set some expectations as we get some subscriber list going, people may get, emails for legacy agendas or something like that. That's happened in other communities. So we'll try to avoid that. We've had good training and lots of help. The system works entirely differently than the old system. And so it's been a huge learning curve that a lot of our staff have undertaken. And it's been a lot of man hours and training for the last month or so with staff. It's been a heavy lift for a lot of folks, and they've done it very well and enthusiastically. So we ask for patience as we do this transition, but we're really excited about it as well.
Board comments? Yep. Thumbs up from Mark. Chris, you already spoke. Let's hear from Carlo. Or Ann, or?
I'm good.
Okay, I'd like to say, go ahead.
No, I'm all set.
Okay, this is, I like this. This is a good approach. We were faced with not being able to reach any appointed or elected officials easily or consistently. And so I think this is great. And, if you're an appointed or elected official, you need to respond. But what I like about this solution as well is that it leaves the appointed or elected official the option to provide the email that they would like to provide. So I do like that part about it as well.
Thanks, Karen. If I could follow up with, essentially, you are correct in saying if you created 192 email addresses, it obviously is costly and expensive. But the way that you can do it is you can have the point to email addresses are free on a domain, meaning I could have Chris Haley at Reading whatever the whoosie, just like Fidel said, point to my personal email, and point to addresses are free. So we can definitely have Reading email addresses pointing to private email addresses for free, and there's no cost with that. So it's only the time that's involved. You don't need licensing or anything. The only thing you lose by doing that is archiving from public record request, meaning because they're point to records, you can't get a copy if someone was, FOIA'd their Gmail or something like that. You can't get a copy even though it went to their Reading email. It's just a pass-through. But those are free. So
I'd like to just point out that we're talking almost 400 members of boards and committee members that come and go, which means that has to be maintained. That puts a lot of time onto the IT staff to be able to maintain that.
I would agree with you. I think after the initial, day or two that it would take to put everybody in here correctly, and then probably reaching out to people that to get their emails as well, to point to them. I still think for me, like our global address list, when, like I said, to reach the Board of Health for me, I still had an issue. The global address list that's the town has, hundreds of emails from people that aren't even associated with the town still anymore that are in this list. So when I wanted to reach out to the Board of Health, I couldn't. And in this new fashion here as well, I still won't be able to. So if I want to email, I know Rick's email, if I was to want to contact Rick and just send him an email right now from my own Reading email address, I still can't do it. I have to go on the website, click, did he get it? I don't know if he did. It's not coming from me, it's coming.
Well, we should give it a shot. I mean, the first time, and then most likely, Mike is gonna email you back and you're gonna have it, and then you won't have to do this anymore.
It is my fear that we're going all the way and we are not just going the one step further by
Well,
not
we just-
having.
Let me just ask a question. In your research, have you found that other communities are providing emails to all volunteer boards? Because I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
I do see,
so, absolutely.
yeah, variability.
We're not, I mean, and, you know, we're not only afraid of the setup time, it's also the maintenance, right? But I think what you're saying is a workaround, right? That we honestly haven't explored. So I mean, I don't want to answer on the floor, but we'll go back. I mean, and we'll see what it takes to do that. I mean, we are switching to an online exchange server, and that might make it easier. So
That is, perhaps because you don't have online exchange currently, when you do, the point-to records are free. I set them up all day, every day for people that, various board members from housing authorities, et cetera, that have, you know, Comcast email addresses that need to have various towns and city email addresses for them. I think, yes, it is a big hurdle in the beginning, but I think that, once again, if you take my boards thing, hover over idea, that perhaps we start with the Board of Health, FinCom, and a couple other major boards, and see how that works out and then go from there. Because those point-to records, FinCom's changing once a year, same, you know what I mean, Board of Health, all that kind of stuff. I think if we start with a couple major boards, see how it goes, you can have both. There's no harm in doing
we can
both.
do both, exactly.
You can have, you know, Ed Ross at Reading whatever, on there, as well as the other contact button. You could do it, and it could go right to Ed's Comcast, or whatever email that he happens to have.
Yeah, I mean, what I would recommend is to launch the website, right? I mean, and
of course.
And give this a shot, right? Kevin is working on the Reading Mbta.gov exchange server, so give us some time, you know, and we'll see what it takes to get what you're saying done.
Yeah,
We'll come
because
back.
it doesn't make sense if you're swapping the email to do it twice. That's like 800, like, that's just crazy. But no, just for me, like I said, if I have this trouble, I can just only imagine somebody else that doesn't have IT experience just trying to find.
Chris, I have 15 years of IT experience, and I know you're gonna agree with me that you do the best you can to test everything, you put it out there, and then you put it out there, and then it's an iterative process.
Oh, of course.
So, you know, it's a great suggestion, and, but we do have, we're running into your park time, so I wanna keep this a little on schedule, and we do have a question on the floor.
John Weston, Cpdc. Two quick questions. One is there some sort of filter built into here? So, you know, explicit word kind of thing so that board members or anyone isn't getting, you know, pornography or, you know, other sorts of.
Oh, like we are? You think we should be the only ones to get that stuff? No.
And
Not getting that.
and my
We're not
second
getting
question, well, obviously,
Not
right,
getting
you
that.
can't post pictures in there, but right, people can say, you know, lots of stuff in there, and, you know, I know there's some systems that sort of filter out those explicit words. And then my other question is, can you only email one person at a time? Or can you email multiple, like an entire board? My fear is if you can email, you know, a number of people, then, you know, responding back would easily get boards in trouble on, you know, open meeting law, with the reply all from sort of not knowing that the email was sent to the entire board.
So I'm gonna answer one of those questions and then I'm gonna hand it over to Kevin. He can answer the question about the filtering. If you're using the contact form, such as by clicking on one of these, you can only email one at a time. If you're using the email, the select board, where it opens up and it goes directly to the entire select board, but it opens up the email app. And then I'll pass the rest of the questions over to Kevin.
Can I answer a follow-up question? So if we get an email that's emailed to the select board, when, not me, but, you know, when you guys receive it, is it indicated that on who else it went to besides just the two, you know, like, you know, who else is copied on it?
No, so that's a point to email, if you will, right? So it's a select board at domain, right? And our IT department manages on the back end who gets those emails. So the that's more a back end management aspect, I guess I'll say.
But just to comment, if you hit reply all, it would go to everybody.
Yeah, so we have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we collectively all the
Right, I know
rights.
that in some email settings, right, a lot of people are getting like, in the beginning of an email, like this external email, right? And so you know right away that it came from someone outside of your organization. I don't know if that's possible, but I would think that it would be important for a board to know, like, before you even start reading it, this went to the entire board, right? Because
You do see, it does say select board, like two, you see it says select board at ci.reading.ma.us, so you know if you're gonna reply, you have to just reply and not reply all, or you're gonna get into trouble, yeah.
Yeah, Madam Chair, can I suggest, it sounds like there's more discussion to have on this. I think we should make it a future agenda item in the near future.
Could we
No,
have?
not on you, John, but I think Chris raises some valid
Yeah.
points. I think there's a lot of stuff that's not quite finished.
What's the
It doesn't hold anything up, but I think there's more discussion to be had. We should just make a new item for it.
So what's the best way to solicit some comment now that this approach is sort of out there? Do you have a preferred suggestion?
We could do a monkey,
Survey monkey.
Survey monkey, sorry. Or just solicit input individually. I mean, these are really technical solutions, right? I mean, and it's not things that we'll look on the fly. But yeah, these things in particular would be good. I think a Survey monkey is a good idea. Like if we could improve the email, what would it look like, right? I mean, and Laura can send it out to all members of boards, and we can try to gather some and talk to our IT department on what's possible, what's easy, and what's more long term. We can do that.
That would actually be great, and if there's a box in there for other stuff, because the whole notification that you're getting, I'm seeing that on every single email now, it's weird, so I wouldn't mind asking what the hell's going on, okay. But we'll do it in an organized fashion.
Great.
Okay, super, thank you, any other
And I'm
questions?
sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
So Kevin Furlow had his hand raised.
Okay, thank you, Jackie, for interrupting. So go ahead, Kevin.
So I don't want to get us off on too much or too deep into this, but just to touch on a couple of things, Chris is right. We do have the ability to create as many distribution lists as we want, and same thing for a number of contacts. And I wouldn't say that there's a rule, a strict rule, but we do have a bunch of distribution lists that have personal email addresses as contacts on those distribution lists. It's just not a rule across the board. For instance, we have a trails committee that is set up as a distribution list with personal contacts on there, but maybe not some other boards or committees. So he's right, we should be able to set that up without any cost. One thing that, and then just to go back to the readingma.gov, we do own that domain. Our intention is to have two domains that are supported with our email system, so sending it to the old ci.reading.ma.us address or the readingma.gov address would both work. The challenge with making just a hard cutover is that we have a lot of business cards and letterhead and things published that will just make it so we'd need to support both for at least a decent amount of time. One thing that I always see resurfacing here is the idea that somebody's able to go to the website and fill out a form and submit communication to any one of these board members or anybody in town. And that is anonymous. You put in your email address and it can be whatever email address you think up that day. And we had never had an issue with that functionality. For let's say 16 years maybe. It is just a recent thing that people have decided would be a fun thing to try. We can take that away. We can make email addresses and require an email client. be the way that people get contacted, but we'll need to be given direction to do that. I would say that if you poke around on the internet and look at CNN or other communities, or just take a look. This functionality where you fill out a form and you type in what the email address is that is your contact, this is common. So, but it doesn't have to be. So you give us direction on what you want, and that's what it will be.
Good to know. Thank you. Appreciate the effort. Okay. Good. Okay. I think we are ready. Thank you. I think we are ready for park.
How about Haven Street lighting?
Haven Street lighting, sorry.
Okay, sorry, I'm so excited. We're running behind. Okay, we're gonna keep this moving. Haven Street lighting project, we had some, in our packet, there are pictures of proposals, so we probably don't have to spend too much time on this.
So Aaron, if you're on it, and you don't mind if you can just breeze through the presentations, that'd be great. Thank you.
Can everyone see this okay?
Yep.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thanks, Erin.
Okay, great. So tonight, I just want to come back to you all with quick updates. We're continuing to move forward. I was last at the select board January 18th, and I will breeze through this project.
Thank you.
Again, these are the project goals. We're really excited to provide this decorative lighting installation down at 52 Haven Street. We want to activate downtown to attract customers and support downtown businesses. We explored a couple of different opportunities in terms of design concepts the last few months, and we have come to this design concept here with this Starburst concept on a temporary structure. It elevates the already existing plaza, and we received really positive feedback on the existing bistro tables out there that are actually out there today. And we've been working closely with the property owner, the adjacent businesses, and also the property management company. I've received a lot of public feedback in the positive, which is great. And I've gone door to door, I've emailed, I've mailed communications, I've reached out to a lot of our different community partners, and done extensive outreach on this project. What I wanted to show is kind of a rough idea where the bistro tables are located, is where approximately the potted plants with the poles will be located for our temporary structure, and then we'll have the lights on top of the structure again. So you can see that in the bottom left corner, that's the temporary structure, and then the lights will be in that starburst design again in the above left-hand side. I'm really excited about this project because I get to work with a lot of different experts. So I've been working with structural engineers, lighting designer, and a number of other professionals externally and internally inside of our organization as well. This is a picture of what the product will look like. The light in particular, this is an installation in Salem, Massachusetts, and we're really excited to have this really awesome lighting technology and product. Again, LED lighting, great shows and displays with many different color combinations and the ability to time the lights to be turned off and on, and also be dimmable over time as well. So there's a lot of smart technology that's involved with this lighting display, which I'm really excited about. Here's again a brief overview of all the public engagement that's been involved, and my next steps are to keep working on all these details, and I'm really excited. I'm hoping that our installation will be up, ready for spring. So again, thank you so much for your time tonight, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thanks, Aaron.
Board members, any questions? Chris?
Thanks, Aaron. Aaron, has there been any outreach to the businesses that are down there about staying open later and whatnot now? Because unfortunately, when you go down to Haven Street after
that, with the opening of a restaurant and other things of that nature, that we'll have a little bit more activity in addition to having this lighting installation really brought people down there and warrant local businesses to stay open. So I'm really excited about this installation to help attract customers at later hours, and I'm hoping that a combination of things will happen. So yes, I'm actively keeping an eye and working on that advocacy and working with our business community to try and make that happen.
Perfect. Yeah, it does look amazing, and hopefully it does draw people down there and the businesses can stay open. Otherwise, it's just going to look fantastic and nobody's going to be there to take in some customers. So other than that, yeah, it looks great and good job.
Erin, thank you. We need to be different. We need to, what is it? Try or die or change or die or whatever. Thank you. It looks exciting. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown has a question.
Maintain it.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, so the town will own the lights, and the temporary installation will also be maintaining over time as well. And what I'm really excited about is that this lighting installation is temporary in nature, and it can be moved around to different parts of town too. So we're really trying in this phase to activate Lower Haven Street in particular for a variety of reasons. From an economic perspective, but also because we've received a lot of comments from customers and from business owners with the need for additional lighting in that particular area. So we wanted to try it out here, but we're certainly open to other ideas and moving this installation around town too.
Thank you. Another question?
Yeah, a number of years ago, we had hanging plots, and that ended up being a maintenance problem for the DPW. So
yep, I remember that well.
Anything that looks wonderful ends up being a maintenance problem for the DPW, and I think they've got all the work that they can handle right now. That's my own.
Yeah, so over time, I'm really looking forward to potentially having the business improvement district up and running, and that district management organization in the downtown will be able to take on some of these contracted services as well. So I'm really hoping that there is, I'm working on our private-public partnership to be able to help us both bring more activities and programs and services to downtown, as well as helping us professionally maintain these new assets that our community will develop over time.
Thanks, Aaron.
One quick question, thanks. Erin, you mentioned the portability, you know what I mean? Of the installation. Has it, I know you haven't put it up yet, but has the contractor, okay, it's up, how many hours would it take to move it to kind of Bill Brown's point, you know, can we move it to Winterfest next year to light up that event and then so on and so forth? You know, so is it, do they give you 2 hours, 4 hours, or is that number determined yet?
Yeah, so I was going to say this structure is, because it stands on its own, needs to withstand high wind situations. So the ballasts are actually quite large and heavy, like hundreds of pounds. And so in terms of transporting this thing from one place to another, it's actually a bit more involved. In terms of time, we'll need to plan ahead for that and design for that changing circumstance and location. There's a lot involved in terms of engineering for each site. So in terms of taking the actual transit lights on and off, that's an easy thing that we can do more easily than moving the whole installation in and of itself. But again, it's not something drilled into the ground or, you know, things of that nature. It's freestanding, so we can move it. It's just involved.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Erin, for your effort on this project and all the other work that you do. And I'll look forward to visiting Lower Haven Street to see this as a resident. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Erin.
Great, thank you. Okay, now would we like to do park? I see we have the leads for the park committee patiently sitting in the room. Sorry that we're running behind.
So I was going to do the introduction for everyone, Karen.
Very well, great.
I could, thank you. So yeah, the Park Committee is going to present its findings tonight to the Select Board. The park members were Bernie Horn, Elizabeth Whitelam, me, John Weston, who's here, Karen Rose Gillis in the back, Tom O'Connor, who I don't think could make it, Sarah Brookalakio, which is correct, Jay Jackson, and Dan Dewar, who's also here. The other two.
I'm sorry, do we need to call ourselves to order? I don't know, because I don't know where we stand in terms of a committee.
Are you posted?
I have no idea.
You're not, you can't talk.
Yes,
I
no,
believe we
Julie,
had a- I
Julie
believe
and
that
Andrew.
Sarah and Jay are on the Zoom.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, Jay here.
So I'm assuming, Bernie, you should call us to order. Just to be.
He's not posted.
I don't,
see
not on the
anything
website,
posted.
yeah, not on the calendar.
So,
Well, you make a report. I'm happy to call us to order if it's in order to call us to order.
it's not in order.
Are Andrew and or Julie on the Zoom?
Yes, both of them are.
It's a presentation, not a meeting.
Yeah, right, I mean, and it's been posted on the select board, I mean, I'm more than willing to call our council, but I feel like this has been advertised for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you
I'm sorry, but you are not posted.
You cannot talk.
So can we run out and come back in one at a time for our
We
sessions?
just can't deliberate.
you can't deliberate,
You can't.
so.
But I believe Julie sent out a notice that the park was making this presentation. I'm not sure
Do we
if
know
that's-
about the presentation about posting for open meeting law perspectives wasn't done?
How many folks are from the committee are here?
Like mostly everyone,
No, almost everyone.
between the Zoom and here.
How many people are in the room?
5
5,
plus Chris.
6.
How many people are presenting?
Almost all of us.
It's just a hand.
Seems problematic.
Julie can do it.
I think it makes it unnecessary.
Yeah, I think so.
Dan, if that isn't the motto of this committee,
So to back up a little bit, the select board, it's in our packet, it's our job to not necessarily insist that you present it all to us again, because we've all read it, but I'm sure we have questions.
Yeah, I had a couple.
What do you think?
I think it would probably be safest for like a majority to, I mean, I wonder if the folks who are virtual, if you wanna just watch it streaming instead of being on the Zoom.
What's the quorum? 4 people, 5 people?
There's 6 people in the room though, right?
Correct.
So.
Dan and John want to go home, so that's fine.
So you need to limit it to maybe just 4, including Chris in the room?
So
Right.
if I may jump in and interrupt, you can, they can attend as a member of the public, they can just not speak. So if you pick just 1 or 2 people that speak, everybody else remain quiet, there's no deliberation, you're okay.
Yeah, I saw 3 hands to present. I think that would suffice. Whether John and Dan want to stay or not, you know.
Yeah, not changing 3, just 3.
Just 3, right. It was, yeah, Bernie and
Well, I would be
Liz.
the 4. I've already spoken.
Well, 4 still counts. 4 is not quorum.
Right, so there are 9
we
members?
had an open meeting law violation back in 2018, the select board did, because 3 select board members attended a FinCom without it being posted, and 1 person opened their mouth, and that was an open meeting law violation. So I don't.
You are skirting the law by doing this, that is
Yeah,
correct.
I'm not really comfortable with this.
But you are not violating if less than a quorum participates and everybody else remains as a resident.
That'll help.
Hi, John Weston, right?
That'll help.
Cpdc member, right, I'm leaving.
Resident.
I'll go watch at home.
Dan, since you're
It's
not.
Mr. Brown.
I've attended many of these meetings on the open meeting laws, and the best thing that the state says, if in doubt, don't do it. And I think you have a doubt here, and I would not
I have to say, I'm quite concerned.
file a complaint.
Okay.
You can,
I think it's.
Even if Julie runs it? Or even if they run
I
it?
think if if no, well, that is the thing, that's what I understood happened with the prior select board. If no one had spoken, everybody would have been fine. So that may be a solution. If the committee members start speaking and there's a quorum present and it wasn't
If we think about it,
posted.
like in the context of, you know, if one person replies all to one of our, that's only one person speaking, but it still could still get us into trouble if other people are witnessing it. So I think if we take that to the real world room context, let's err on the side of caution. I agree.
Yeah, just park it.
So now we have, how many members are in the physical room?
Now there's 4.
I mean, what do you think about having a staff member do the talking? Because then it's not the committee speaking.
With staff and then maybe Bernie and Liz.
I don't think you
only
can speak. You can search the OML database, and OML meeting violation was posted, for prior select board for doing just that.
Was it actually a violation or, well, who knows?
Well, I don't know, I'd have to go search in the database again, it was that simple.
What is the procedure for having it posted out?
Just posting it 48 hours in advance on
On
a
the
piece of
town.
paper out there, traditionally be on the website, I don't know what else.
On the agenda that was submitted?
It was on our agenda, but because if all of you stayed, if John and Dan stayed, and everyone on Zoom stayed, you'd all be in the same room technically and have the meeting. That wasn't posted on the website. It was part of our agenda, but that's different than being posted on the website
Okay, so
for
we
the
kicked
public to know
people
you
in
were
the
having
Zoom
a
off?
meeting.
So we kicked a few people out of this room, are we down below a quorum now?
Julie
I
did.
think right now we have 5 people in the room, which is a quorum.
I think we wanna be really careful, not have a
If we have
quorum.
one, if we want to
I
be.
can even leave too, I don't.
5 of them?
Some, a lot of people just said thank you.
You've already spoken, so.
Are there 5 of them or 4?
4.
There are 4 people in the room right now?
Yeah.
Including Chris?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, and none on the Zoom.
And are there any folks remaining from the committee on the Zoom?
He's in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah, let it go.
I'm in the chat.
So I think you're going to, it's recommended that you watch on Zoom, and I do
Watch not on
apologize.
Zoom.
On our
Not on
Sorry,
Zoom.
watch on
Or YouTube.
RCTV, excuse, sure, yeah.
Or YouTube, right?
Yep, RCTV YouTube on the video channel.
I would just suggest we reschedule so that everyone can
Your other
speak.
option.
That's your other
And do
option.
it proper way, like
I
with
feel
the
badly
proper
either
minutes.
way, because
Yeah.
everybody came here tonight and you did a lot of work and,
What's our next meeting?
April 19th.
19th of April?
Park sunsets on the 30th.
We can extend that.
Yeah.
And, okay.
Sorry.
This is not very representative of what this
whatever.
experience has been
Do you see the OML scars on my back?
I know
Mark has
home's right
them
now.
too.
Familiar with the myth.
Ian's got a couple scratches.
We are now an example of that, so we'll be back on April 19th.
You guys are doing great.
Yeah, thank you and sorry.
Thank you very much, I'm sorry.
All right,
Recalc
see
is
you everyone.
posted.
Bye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so recalc members, we're
Recalc is
posted tonight, so.
I apologize for that.
Thank you all for being here and for all your work.
I read the presentation, we all read the presentation thinking we have questions, I'm sorry.
I'll say while I'm standing up and talking in a public way, to Erin's previous presentation, as I'm sure you all know, we are so blessed with this economic development director. She does so much work. You will see her walking downtown, meeting with every business owner so frequently. She really gets our feedback all the time. She's really constantly coming up with ways to try to help us and support us, and we really appreciate all the innovation that she's bringing to the town. So just throw that out there. So
Excellent.
Very nice.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Liz.
I appreciate
Gift
it.
bags in the locker.
Bernie, good to see you.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Liz.
Thank you for being so patient, I'm so sorry.
Oh, we know the problem. We're good, Judy.
The good thing is that none of this can be really implemented till after town meeting anyway.
Yeah. That's fine, it's just that,
Stinks having people wait, but on the other hand, everybody will get to do it.
Faux pas. It's okay.
it just happens, there's a lot going on. Okay, so our next agenda item would be update on MBTA Communities Guidance. Is that you, Fidel?
That is Julie. Go ahead,
That is Julie, okay.
That is staff.
We also had lots of information on that in our packet tonight, lots.
Go ahead, Julie, when you get a chance.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I apologize. That was totally my oversight. I feel very sad that I forgot to post them. But moving on, I'm just going to share my screen with the MBTA Communities Guidance. Okay, so can you all see what I'm sharing here?
Yes.
Okay, and is it a good size? It's not too small, or should I make it bigger?
Looks okay.
Good.
So last January, there was new legislation passed. It's Section 3A of Chapter 40A, which is the Zoning Act. It's commonly referred to as housing choice legislation, and it set forth these parameters that MBTA communities, for which there are 175 of us, including communities with the T, with bus service, commuter rail service, and then communities that are adjacent to communities with any of those services, need to have certain zoning in place to allow capacity for additional housing units. So the basic parameters of the legislation are right here. We need to have a district of reasonable size that allows for a minimum gross density of 15 units per acre. Multifamily housing must be allowed as of right, and the zone must be no more than a half mile from the commuter rail station or the station, that the town has. So in December, the Department of Housing and Community Development, in coordination with MBTA and MassDOT, promulgated guidelines for MBTA communities to figure out if we comply with the legislation. And the guidelines go a lot further and get a lot more specific. So I'll just go through them quickly. I kind of summarized them here and pulled out key things that relate to Reading and Red. So Section 1 is just an overview of Section 3A, which I went over above. Section 2 is definitions. The definitions include one's relevant to Reading, bus service community, commuter rail community, and I won't read them all. Then there's general principles of compliance, which is the what, where, how, and why this legislation was created and these regulations have come forth. Section 4 is what it means to allow multifamily as of right. So site plan approval is considered as of right, and then they clarified on a call that the 40R plan approval process is also considered an as of right approval. Section 5 is how do we determine what a reasonable sized district is. So the minimum land area of the district needs to be about 50 acres. And then within that district, we need to have a minimum multifamily unit capacity. And that capacity is based on our 2020 housing stock. And then a percentage of that housing stock based on what type of transit service we have. So our housing stock was just under 10,000 units. There are different transit service categories. We've been classified as a bus service community. I'll get into that in a little more detail later. But that basically means that we need to zone for 20% of just under 10,000. So approximately 2,000 additional units within a half mile of the train. So I just went through that map here, and then going to Section 6.
I'll wait, sorry, I'll wait.
Never mind.
So minimum gross density, and this is just really technical, I can skip this part. Basically, it's like our overall district has to achieve 15 units per acre minimum gross density, but we actually have to figure out how to get that unit capacity on specific lots, and we can include certain parts of the district in that calculation. So it's a little bit like wonky and complicated. And then we don't have any restrictions on families with children, so we're fine in that regard. And then Section 8, location of districts, like I mentioned, the district needs to be within a half mile of the transit station. And I provided a map in your packet, which I can show later if you're interested, that kind of shows what a half mile includes. And just to quickly go over, so it includes the entire downtown smart growth district, and then also the A40 district that's just north of the downtown, a large portion of Business A along South Main Street. Okay, So just scrolling down, another important aspect of this is the effective non-compliance. So if we aren't able to make this work or choose not to make this work, we lose our eligibility for certain grants under these certain programs that are outlined. So the housing choice grants, local capital projects grants, MassWorks grants, and then other grants at DHCD's discretion, which is nebulous and undefined. So to put this in context, over the past decade, we can confirm that we've received $50,000 in housing choice grants, and there is talk of us applying for a MassWorks grant sometime in the next year.
Quick question, Julie?
Sure.
So that's maybe what we applied for in the past. What do you see as the potential out of, I actually didn't know about all those other grant programs. What do you see as like the potential? Several $100,000, $500,000?
So we're still working out the details internally of what our MassWorks grant application would look like. We have a few different projects that we're thinking about. The number we haven't put quite a number on. I would say it'd probably be in the multiple hundreds of thousands, maybe even in the low millions. But we still have to apply and then obviously receive the grant. So
Right.
that's a big question mark.
Okay, no, that's helpful, because I saw the comment, what does that mean if we aren't eligible for grants, but you're not talking about not being eligible for another 50,000 grant, you're talking about a much larger potential pool, so thank you. Okay.
Right, and then I should clarify too, so my presentation to you tonight is required as one of the steps that I need to take in order to make sure the town stays compliant this year. So for 2022, we can maintain compliance and we can still maintain eligibility for these grants. And then 2023 is a little up in the air depending on if we decide to go forward with an action plan to try to comply or not. We may be able to extend our compliance through 2023. So I put together some feedback for the Department of Housing and Community Development. These guidelines are still in draft form. They're not final. They're in the feedback gathering stage right now until March 31st. And then they're going to actually promulgate the specific final guidelines over the summer. And so I outlined some concerns we had. The number one concern that I had originally has been addressed. It was our downtown smart growth district wasn't actually going to be able to count because of a technicality and how the term multifamily is defined. And I've been working with DHCD and we're proposing to change that as part of the amendments that are coming to town meeting in April, which will mean that if that amendment passes, we will be able to count the district. So I'm not going to go into that anymore unless you have questions, but that was our main gating item, I would say. And then another concern that we have is we've been classified as a bus service community, and I kind of outlined some of the reasons why that seems a little misguided. And so just getting some clarity around why that is and whether that might change and we might actually be more appropriately classified a commuter rail community. That's something that we need to know. So I'll scroll through this. Gets us through a bit, but it actually is important to know because it impacts how many units we have to zone for by quite a bit, and then also it gives us if we're classified as a commuter rail community, then we actually have more time to try to comply with these guidelines. We get until the end of 2024 instead of the end of 2023. So gives us another year. And then I've asked for more information on how the build-out analysis is supposed to work. They haven't given too many specifics on that, and there's a lot of as you get down to the parcel level in each community, there's a lot of different specifics and nuance. All right, and the time frame for compliance is quite tight, I think, given the sensitive and sort of extensive nature of some of the changes that would probably need to be made to comply. And this will make more sense in a minute once I show you my high-level analysis. And one last comment that we had from staff is the expansion of the effective non-compliance. So in the guidelines, DHCD added that they can, in their discretion, take non-compliance into consideration when making other discretionary grant awards. That kind of opens the door for them to say we're not eligible for other types of grants, and that seems a little bit it's just unclear that that's something that they are allowed to do. But what do I know? I'm not a lawyer. Anyway, so I also included recent feedback from Cpdc. We've reviewed our analysis and these guidelines with Cpdc twice. So I won't review their sentiments, but you can read them. They're in the packet. Then just getting to the high level analysis. So the first thing I wanted to do is see if we could shoehorn the requirements like into the existing zoning that we have. And so we, as a bus service community, we need to zone for like just under 2,000 more units. And so I just looked at like in the downtown smart growth district, we have a minimum of 20 units an acre, and then CPDC is looking to put in a maximum of 65 units an acre at town meeting. So just within those parameters, like what would we be able to, how many units would we be able to accommodate, right? And so, you know, counting some of the existing projects we have at the existing densities we have that are more than 20 units an acre, and then looking at what's left and seeing like what's possible if everything were, you know, maxed out. That is not the type of analysis that DHCD is actually looking for. They really want a site-by-site build-out analysis that takes into account setbacks, height, lot coverage, floor area ratio, like any of the dimensional requirements that we have in the zoning district. But I figured it would be worthwhile to see if we're even within striking distance before we decide if we want to try to seek funds for technical assistance or spend a lot more staff time doing a really in-depth analysis. So that's the purpose. That's why I did that. And then just going into it really quick, I'll just scroll down to the main outcome is basically like if we just use the downtown smart growth district, we have a shortfall, a pretty sizable shortfall. Like we're not really within striking distance of compliance. And so then the question for me became, okay, what are the other districts that are like adjacent to the downtown smart growth district that are also within the half-mile radius of the train station? What do they look like? And two of those districts, the A40 and the Business A, allow multifamily by right. The challenge with those is there are some other dimensional requirements that make it really hard to achieve multifamily, and so a number of the lots can't be counted because they're too small, and it's like all the nuance like that. So the long and the short of it is that our existing zoning cannot accommodate just under 2,000 more units. There is some sort of shortfall depending on how you do the math. Once we get more guidance from DHCD about how they want us to do the build out and how we count undersized lots and, you know, just all the details, we can dig in and try to do more analysis. But for now, we know that we wouldn't be able to comply with this without changing our zoning in some fashion. So the next steps for us are, you know, exploring what might be possible with CPDC in terms of the zoning, waiting to see what the guidance looks like, potentially exploring getting funds for technical assistance, for help with that build-out analysis, and then you know, just kind of seeing where we land. But what, like I have been attending a lot of webinars, talking to other planners in the region. Like we're really trying to figure out how we can make this work. It's tricky though, and there is kind of a sentiment that's been expressed by other planners in the region and by CPDC members that given that Reading is a poster child for 40R and we have so much density by the train, if we're having trouble figuring this out, how is any community to make this work?
Yeah.
That's what I was just thinking, the other communities, I'm like, they're less dense than we are. Okay. Except for Malden. Okay.
So, what is I just wanted to share is that I had a meeting with our delegation last Monday, and this is a hot topic for Woburn, you know, for Burlington. We're all in the same boat, right? I mean, and how they explained it is that the the legislation, it's not causing this. It's the interpretation of DHCD that is causing this, right? I think at this point we should continue to pursue this, right, internally, and also push our legislators, to push the state on being more fair to all of our communities.
Yeah.
So you answered a bunch of the questions between Fidel and Julie, which is great. The other thing I was thinking about is back to the interpretation, or maybe the way they might guide this, if they would consider expanding beyond the half-mile radius, if that would help us out. How much might that help us out?
My understanding, Julie, and please chime in, that it would probably impact the residential areas more, right? I mean, what do you think, Julie?
I do. I can show a map really quick. Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is what a half-mile radius looks like. There's a lot of the single-family residential, right, within this half-mile radius. I think expanding it, like at least for Reading, might not gain us much, but to the extent that it would include more of the industrial district, if that were something if that were an area we wanted to look at, we're talking about different redevelopment, like longer-term sort of redevelopment strategies for this area that we refer to as the Eastern Gateway. So, maybe there's some potential to be had here. I didn't do too much of an analysis of the industrial district yet because, like, our current zoning doesn't allow multifamily by right there. So I really just focused on, what do we have on the books and how can we make those areas work before looking at, expanding multifamily into other zoning districts.
Yeah, I'm going with a no on that one. Yeah. And then, so back to this issue of other communities are feeling a giant pinch from this also. Are the legislators getting together and putting some pressure back on DHCD and saying this is ridiculous, it'll change the character of the towns?
I would say 100%. 100%. I mean, and I think it's a balance that we're seeing even here in Reading, right? I mean, the state knows that we need to build more housing, right? I mean, as a state, right? But some communities have contributed more than others, right? So what Rip Haggerty, for instance, he's taken another approach. That for instance, one recommendation that he's putting forward is that communities that have met the affordable housing minimum are exempt, right? Communities that have a housing production plan are exempt, right? So he's trying to to get his communities a loophole, if you will, or an exemption, right? Because I think it's a tough balance, and as we approach town meeting, obviously in April, it's I think having this conversation in mind, right, is going to be critical.
I have a question about where this is procedurally. So these are draft compliance guidelines. Are they draft regs?
Judy would know more.
Can you clarify for me what the difference would be between guidelines and regulations?
I don't really know what compliance guidelines are. So I know what, like, if draft regulations, then there's like a notice and comment period. And so I didn't know if there's like an opportunity for stakeholders like individual communities or their legislators or the MMA to provide comment.
Right. Yeah, that comment period is right now. It's until March 31st.
Okay.
And I do know that like the MMLA and MAPC and I've talked to a number of planners in the region about this, and everyone is getting ready to submit comments.
Okay. Do we feel like Reading's at least from I know this is the first time you're hearing any reaction from the board, but like staff level planning reactions are represented either by MAPC or the Mass Municipal Lawyers Association?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you feel like,
Yeah, so-
do you feel like the issues you've raised are being raised in comments that are going to be submitted by other organizations? Or do you feel like
Yes.
you would need to like
Yes,
ask
for sure.
VRAs and
I'm-
Harrington or anything to submit anything on our behalf?
Sorry, I missed the last part of
I
your
didn't know
question.
if you thought we should ask Ivrea or Miaris and Harrington to submit anything on our behalf, or if you feel like they're already working with the Mass Municipal Lawyers Association to submit comment.
Yeah, so they are. Donna Brewer from Miaris and Harrington is working closely with the rest of the MMLA group to submit comments. She was on one of the webinars that I attended. The comments that we have are being echoed by many other communities. And I've actually been sharing comments with the different planners and getting feedback from them, and we're right in line. Our comments are right in line with what pretty much everyone else that I know is saying. Just varying degrees of specificity and some nuance in different communities, but the pushback and the things that we're hoping will change are pretty consistent across the board.
Okay. Thank you, Julie.
Sure.
Thanks, Karen. And thanks, Julie. I guess, what other towns around here have actually fit within this guideline currently that you know of? None?
No. This is crazy down there.
It just, who came up with this?
Some
Like
of the city.
if Cambridge came up with it and Cambridge fit into it, it would, I mean, and then go from there, but I don't even know why we're even discussing something that no other town fits into a mold that it gets put out there. It seems like someone spent a lot of time for something to completely change. And I don't think it's, to Fidel's point, a loophole of missing or being above the 10%. I think that we're above the 10%. It's not a loophole. It's like, why are we gonna be subject to that and this and then something else 10 years from now? Like, it just seems as if someone came up with some fantastic circle that nobody is actually gonna fit into.
Agreed.
And it seems rather unfortunate.
Yeah, I think we agree. We agree. I mean, I think what Julie is doing is sounding the alarm a little bit, right? I mean, and letting everyone know, and it's an alarm that it is being sounded all around us, right? I mean, that we need to be active, right? By calling legislators and letting them know that the interpretation has to change.
I can agree within reason, but this just seems absurd. If not a single town qualified, how this can get presented to anybody and then shoot first, apologize later is ridiculous.
Carlo, did you have a question, comment?
Thank you. A lot of my questions were answered, so thank you. But even if we lower the threshold from bus to commuter rail, which we're clearly a commuter rail community, that's what I think of us before, a bus service community, even though we have both. But even when we lower that designation and the number of units, is that makes it more attainable, but is it just an ask from us, Julie, or they have to approve us as a commuter rail community?
Yeah, so they would have to reclassify us, and there are a number of other communities that also feel they've been misclassified. And it would make the target a little bit more achievable, but we're still not. I'd have to look at the numbers again, but still a stretch. I mean, the scenario the analysis I did was based on if we maxed out every lot, which is not realistic and not likely. And so, I think we would still have a shortfall. We still wouldn't be able to accommodate it within our existing zoning, I don't think. So.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, they shot for the moon, and then I don't know what they were thinking. But
Fidel, may I ask how our delegation interpreted the laws and what they expected or what their goal was?
I think that they're hearing the same concerns from everyone. I mean, as I said, Rep. Haggerty, he's in Woburn, and I mean, and it's exactly the same situation in Woburn. I mean, I think that they are going to advocate for a change, and hopefully it's more realistic and more in line, or there's off ramps, for some communities. But I think it's to be determined. I think it's where we are.
All right, I was just trying to understand, if we're the poster child for 40R, were they just trying to encourage other communities to do more of this and it just overshot the mark as the way it's being interpreted? Is that?
That is my understanding.
Okay,
That is my
thank you, that's what I
understanding,
wanted to understand, okay, yeah, that's, okay. We're gonna get calls tomorrow. Like, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, any other board members here, you're good? Okay, yes, Mr. Brown.
I believe at April town meeting, we got some zoning changes coming on this. Would it be smart to hold off those until fall, we figure what the hell this mess is?
I don't, not by my reading of Julie's proposal, no. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, I'm reading that it's a dual track. Keep marching forward to potentially have more time to solve this problem and also work with our delegation and the state to tell them that this isn't a good thing that you're asking us to do and we won't be alone. I think that's what I thought I read, Julie, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you don't know where these guidelines are gonna end up, especially if they're getting the kind of pushback that I've been hearing. Even including from entities that have much more clout than like little town planners. But we do know, CPDC's worked hard on the zoning that is being taken to town meeting. And so, from that standpoint, like we do think we know what the town is interested in terms of zoning for the downtown smart growth district. I do think Bill's comment has some merit because it is odd, especially as like a planner, that these two things are kind of happening at the same time where, locally, like we're looking for like maybe less density, and at the state level they're looking for more. But I think it makes sense to continue on the path that we're on with the zoning amendment, and then we'll just keep working on the side on this and see where the guidelines end up in the summer, and then if additional changes are needed and warranted and vetted to the downtown smart growth district, we'll come back to town meeting.
I have to comment, I agree with my colleagues too about us being classified as a bus community with one poorly utilized line. That makes no sense. And trains move a lot of people. That it just makes no sense.
And the bus line was discontinued, or
One of the two. We had
it's
two.
hibernated, right? I mean,
Yeah. So that
This
Can we
is
help
just
you
a
with
mandate
that?
from the state. It's just a mandate. They want more housing. Like we have it, but Governor Baker and other higher ups have been pushing this down a lot of cities and towns' throats.
To your point about the classification as a bus community,
Yeah, that's-
no one comes to Reading to take the bus. Like it's the most unhelpful. It's just my opinion.
There are people who use the bus.
Yeah, not a lot though. It's not, well, it could be much better. We've talked about, it could be much better.
Compared to the train, yeah, absolutely.
Well, and in Julie's report, it's not even well utilized, and so I, to me, that says it's not connecting the right people, it's not going, I don't know what the answer is, but, okay. Okay. Yes, John?
Sort of community they're talking about, if you haven't been to Malden recently, multiple high rises
Right.
all around downtown.
Right.
That's what they're looking for.
Right? And they have a lot of buses, I've taken the bus in Malden, it's much,
Malden has 66,000 people.
Wow, yeah.
In half the square mileage of Reading.
But does Malden even fit in? You're saying no, like, if Malden doesn't fit into this, then who's ever going to fit into it? They should have found one person and then went from there, not no people.
I'll tell you that when this came out in October in Chelsea, we were concerned. So it's and if to have more density in Chelsea is obviously it's
Where?
it's like
in the water.
We're gonna make it into Miami, I guess. Okay. Thank you, Julie, that was pretty darn technical, thank you for pulling it up a level.
Please keep us up to date.
Alright. Okay, thank you, and I apologize again for the park oversight.
No problem. Thank you. Have a good night, Julie.
Thanks, Julie.
Thanks. It's a
Good
lot of
night,
work.
thank you. Okay,
It's a recalc. Sorry.
doesn't look like we have a quorum of recount here, do we?
We actually are posted.
But I think they're
so that's
posted,
what
you're
we're-
right, I saw that, I did see that.
Actually, is there anyone who is from recalc who's on there now? I don't.
Quite a few.
From recalc?
Yeah.
I'm listed up there, but I'm actually here.
Ron, Nora, Nancy.
I'm sorry.
Is Nancy on my talk? Nancy to me?
No.
I'm not sure who.
So is this
Ron's
Ron?
iPad
Is this Ron?
Ron is.
Okay, so
Nancy.
Jackie, Ron is here in person.
My wife's Ron.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It's another resident. Okay.
So is there another member that's on Zoom right now?
Is Tony on it?
Is Barbara a member?
No.
No.
This is Nancy Toomey. I am not officially on the committee. I'm just here to hear about it. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So I don't think we have to call to order.
Okay.
So maybe if I can do just a quick overview. So here we are. We had promised, per the board's direction, to come back first to the select board with an update in advance of town meeting, and then some information to town meeting about where we are in the process. So John O'Neill is the chair, and in your packet is a presentation. I think he'd like to go through some of it and then answer questions. Without further ado.
Is the slideshow going to be used?
Yes.
Yep.
Jackie, with the slideshow, please. Thank you.
Is there any chance you can go a little bigger?
Spot for me to stand.
Just a minute. Thank you, Jackie.
Is that the 350th purple or is that a different purple?
I don't know what purple it is.
Civil elected chair is one of those things, everybody took a step back and, you know.
Thank you.
Not the retreat. Okay, so you're gonna see the words recalc. It's taken me a long time to, you know, what's recalc? This is Reading Center for Active Living. So whenever you see it further on in the slides, that's what it's addressing. Okay, the next slide, please. This is the charge. This came out of the town meeting in 2021. So it wasn't late, so it had to be the April town meeting at which that came out. Anyway, here's the charge that the committee was presented with. And that's what we're proceeding to do, to gather information, data, and next slide, please. Thank you. So here's how we've proceeded. Select Board created and appointed the 7-member ad hoc committee. Committee has been meeting since December, twice a month, at least twice a month. That's been what we've been doing. We took a look at, and we also thought it was very important from the beginning, the Council on Aging to bring in, because we're talking about perhaps a new senior center and Council on Aging, and so I think, as it turned out, since the joint meeting that we had with them, I think that was our 3rd or our 4th meeting, both there is, I should say, one member of the 7-person committee is a member of the Council on Aging. So we did have, also there's a member from the Rec Commission on the committees, which has also been very helpful. They have that kind of input and connection. So what we have done is, having the meetings, we were coming up with, all right, what does everybody think is important as far as a new center? So we did that, we came up with, okay, how best to gather information. UMass Gerontology has been selected as the consultant to do, and we'll see further exactly what they're going to do as far as the public forums. They're going to be joint meetings with the committee, one of which will be a formal joint committee meeting once again with the Council on Aging as well as with the committee. We're going to have a survey that's hopefully going to go out to not just elders but community-wide to adults, because that's one of the things that we certainly are just open to. We're not going in with any kind of prejudgment that one is better than the other. Each individual may have some sense of where things are going. But already I can tell you by the site visit is going to be very important. Next slide, please. Okay. Vision for what the community needs, as opposed to just, the senior community, that's the focus, but once again, we're gonna look at the broader community. Pleasant Street Center has outlived its useful life. Well, we've been going around, individual members of different communities, 21 communities we've identified. And I know I went to Wilmington, spent about an hour and a half last Friday. And Wilmington's was a good place to go because they've already made the decision they're gonna have a new senior center. Okay, and we wanted to find out, did they consider having a community center? What did they learn? What would they wish they, how did they go about the process? How did they keep people involved and informed? Because the big thing was information. But the first eye-opener for me was they have a center that's outmoded for their needs, that's already larger than what Reading has today. And their main space is all on one floor. The main room is about 2.5 times the size of Reading's main room. Reading Center, on the other hand, is three floors. The bathroom is on the floor where no activities are held usually. So it's on the top floor. So that's problematic right there. Size-wise, does it, really make a difference as far as what kind of programming you can have? Also, what we're already seeing is, in the UMass study in 2017, which is the one who actually identified and said it was outlived its useful life, had said, well, staffing-wise, we were a little behind, but not that badly. But they, I think, missed the mark in the sense that Reading's unique, at least in my experience, that is a senior/human services positions. There isn't a senior center director, or a council on aging director, or an activities, full-time activities person. Those are kind of common. Certainly there is a nurse and there is a case manager, which are less common, but also those are, they may be primarily using them with elders, but not exclusively, because once again, that means the staff is definitely stretched. So it's certainly what they're able to do, they deserve a lot of credit for, given the fact they don't have the space. And during the pandemic, it was kind of like there's only one entrance. And it's and there's only really one space where you can have activities. So if you're going to have multiple things, you had to wait until everybody else cleared out. Cleaned out the whole place when people are waiting. And then parking becomes a problem if people coming and people haven't left yet, well, people have already come. So there are all those kind of obstacles that we've been up against, or the Council on Aging has been up against with the senior center. Okay, next slide, please. So the benchmarking peer communities, like I talked about earlier, 21 communities. And next slide, please. Those are some of them. I could list if you're interested, all 21. Brought that list with me. People volunteered, including two others besides the person who's on our committee who is on the Council on Aging. 2 other Council on Aging members, including the president of the Council on Aging, Aaron Shapley, are also volunteered to participate in the visits. So I think it's helpful. Also, we've found that already people that the 3 people who are on the Council on Aging who have been going to senior centers, including the Reading one, have found that a number of people, elders from Reading, go to other communities for programs, for senior programs, because they can't find things to meet their needs. So the data, and it's a 3-page form. It took me an hour and a half to fill out the information. On my Wilmington site visit, and a few of us are going to Lexington on Thursday. I think also we're important that at least 6 of the 21 are community centers that have senior programming, because we wanted to be able to see, because the UMass study kind of indicated that not the UMass study, the person from Elder Affairs had indicated that, oh no, those things haven't been successful. Well, already, some of the visits that have been done to those, that's not what the communities feel like. I think sometimes it might have been going into it, certainly reservations, because what you know, you don't want to lose. In my experience, I spent over 40 years working in the field of aging. And one of the things you learn is that when you have services being provided to people of all ages, like mental health services, elders definitely don't get their fair share. The anti-poverty programs, as far as like legal services, elders didn't get their fair share. So generally, that's been the case. But here, it's the bridge, I think, that some communities are seeing, is that you have all sorts of elders, and you have a lot of middle-aged people who are caring for elders, and who have a lot of service needs and support needs, and they themselves need support groups, and oftentimes they're held either at a senior center, so it doesn't have to be at a community center, but another place that I'm aware of from the visits that people have brought back information is the Center for Arts. A lot of communities, I don't think we can afford to have a center for everything here in town, as much as we might like it. But, so that's one of the things that people have talked about, the arts, and including that we know that people of all ages, but including older people, music, dancing, those kind of things, places where performances could be. There's so many talented people in Reading. And it's a shame that they don't all have an opportunity to be able to, show themselves, except for maybe a special occasion where there's going to have the different stores may, have a few paintings or whatever up, as opposed to being able to have a place that they feel like, geez, they can have ownership in, and that seniors don't necessarily feel like, oh, I'm one of those old people if I go there. Well, I'm in my 70s. Yeah, it's a sort of thing that you want to think, here's a place I go because they have things that interest me. They had things that interested me when I was 30, when I was 40, when I was 50, when I was 60. And so why wouldn't I just continue my association and pick and choose things I like? And so the stigma, to the extent there is a stigma, and there certainly is in our society, of being old, just one last anecdote, I can remember talking to people, women in their 90s, and we had brought a lot of people, we had transported people from nursing homes to a particular event we had. And they were very upset that those older people were here, because older meant unable to care for yourself, maybe some dementia, and there was nothing positive in being called necessarily older in our society. Among many of the cultures anyway, some cultures fortunately are an exception. Okay, next slide please. How do we compare? That's what we want to find out. And like I said, we have a fairly extensive data gathering tool that we developed, and that the committee, including the two semi-official people from the Council on Aging, were actively involved in the discussion. So it's not like, all right, you're stepchild here. No, they're full participants, and certainly have had a lot to offer. And I should mention that one of the people as far as developing the slideshow, another member of the committee is Ron Assini here. So kudos to Ron.
That's the Andover Welcome Center, by the way.
Okay.
So there are some communities that have just completed the process within the last couple of years with brand new facilities. Then you have one like Andover, which was a renovated school, which they share with the school administration, but they have a whole floor, the first floor, to themselves. And I have a sister from Andover, and she says the people are thrilled with the facility there. So I indicated earlier, so it's a mix of both community centers and senior centers. Most of them are senior centers, because I think that's in line with what the reality is statewide, if we went to all the communities. And comparable size, because not, in some cases, they were like bigger communities, like a Newton. Like when I heard Newton and Lexington, I said, well, not really comparable size-wise to Reading, but the process-wise, yes. In fact, Newton actually calls it the New Calc, You know, and Center for Active Living, they're looking at the same kind of thing. And so the mixture, and then though we also wanted to make sure we talk to people, Wilmington, Melrose, Wakefield, Winchester, you know, North Reading, so that we were looking all around us as well. Okay, next slide. All right, here's what the ways that we're going, the survey is going to be very important. Focus groups, public forums, going to be 2 public forums on April 6th. One in the afternoon at the center, Pleasant Street Center at 1 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock at the library. So those are going to be 2 opportunities for the public. I'm trying to get the word out. That's why I'm mentioning it now. I really encourage, because I think, like most things, people, what's this all about, you know? Once you come up with an idea of what you think you may want, then people, oh, no, not that or whatever. So we're trying, but the survey is going to be, will certainly reach far more people. I'm also going to be talking to people at cable TV as far as stirring up interest. Maybe we should even do a presentation, you know, that they could film and broadcast it so people.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, we want to get, and also, since part of our charge is to see whether or not it should be a community center / senior center or just a senior center, that we want to, most people aren't going to think in terms of, well, if it's about what to do with the, you know, Pleasant Street Center or the / senior center. They may not, well, what does that have to do with me? And so we really want to get as many voices and input as possible from the public forums. The timeline is tight. I wish we could have more public forums, and hopefully, you know, even without you, and I'm looking at, we haven't decided any of this yet, but having 2 public forums on the same day, and that right now is all that's scheduled. That's the personal concern. But I understand the rationale as far as the UMass timeline, because they're really going to be facilitating this discussion. So, finally, I think, is there another slide? Okay. Yes. So we're going to take a look at the data. We're also going to take a look at the reports from the 21 communities. Our charge will be to recommend senior versus multi-generational center. Final recommendations will go to the select board, and then the town meeting article, depending on what the how the select board chooses to proceed. Then there would be a town meeting article funding feasibility study. We're also looking, I should have mentioned too, because I know a couple of members of the community have contacted me that I know in the committee as far as location. Some people feel very strongly as far as the downtown. That's one of the questions we're asking each one of the communities. Was there an issue? How did you handle an issue versus a central spot? I think the key to the response, and already I got it from Wilmington, is what kind of transportation do we provide? I think that's the key. The other thing that, we'll mention on the other side is that it could be an attractive feature for downtown. But there are going to be practicalities, and that's part of what, if we get to that point, it'd be great to have a feasibility study, because the town has land already, a couple of different locations. You certainly want to conserve money. On that side of things, there is a bill that's been filed, co-filed in the House and Senate, and I know Senator Lewis is one of the co-signers, to provide funding for construction of senior centers. So we'll keep an eye on that. And there certainly is one, besides what the town's ARPA funding is, and I know there are separate committees dealing with that, so I'm not, talking about touching that, not that I wouldn't want to, but the state has monies as well that hasn't been allocated as yet. And we have a good legislative delegation. I think the sooner we could decide and make a decision, and make the case, the better our chances are of being able to secure some of those monies. Okay, any questions? Yes.
Thanks, Karen. Yes, thank you, a great presentation. I'm just wondering if there's been any outreach on whether any new, if it was decided to build a new senior center, like on the taxing implications on seniors, like regarding, you know, obviously there's people that are running on low and fixed income kind of scenarios, and I'm just wondering if, has there been any outreach where, you know, where people are saying, I can't afford the water, unfortunately, that's, we'll leave that for another time, but like, just those kind of scenarios, I'm just wondering if you've received feedback on.
I mean, from within town, you're talking about?
Yeah, just
okay.
I'm not sure if you're at the senior center daily, weekly, or however you play a part in that, just any feedback that you've heard that Recalc's proposing maybe a new senior center and someone says, that sounds amazing, I love it, and then like 10 people say, but who's gonna pay for it? You know, like that kind of.
I haven't heard that feedback, not that there aren't. I'm sure there are, you know, it's more the people that go to the center feel like this is an embarrassment. Any place else we go, you know, and I've been to, you know, a number, this really is kind of unusual there. I think on the other side of it, on the tax thing, it could very well may help if we're going to talk about, you know, monies for schools, for, you know, there's a fairness issue there too. There, you know, we have to be careful of, and I'm sure I will get some of that feedback.
I personally think that no senior should have to leave Reading to go to another senior center. If it's a programming issue, maybe perhaps that could be addressed. Like, I don't know if Andover has hot yoga or some scenario. If we got a new senior center and we still didn't offer hot yoga, now they're still going to Andover. I just, no senior should have to leave because of some other scenario. But if we don't address that as well, like in programming, to go elsewhere, then we're not going to really solve anything. So hopefully that's in the.
We're also looking, when we're part of our questions, is what kind of programs that people have elsewhere, and to try to find out. And that's one on the survey. We're going to be asking older people, why do you go to, you know, other communities? We do know from talking to the people at, you know, the staff here, is that there are just some programs they can't offer because they don't have the space that they would like to offer, and people can volunteer, even not even, you know, certainly for large events, but even there's a social worker, a retired social worker who wanted to provide supportive counseling. They told her, there's not a space that we could give you. There's no private space. So there's some basic.
And do you know what percent of seniors actually use the senior center? Which is like a kind of gotcha kind of question. It's the same as, you can relate it to downtown parking. Like, people say there's not enough downtown parking or whatever, and then you say, yay, now there is, and then you get this influx. So what percent of seniors are actually utilizing the center, and like, that you've seen? Is it like 10% or like 80% of our population, or do you have a?
As far as the people that have participated in at least some activity, then you're talking about, it could be like 10 to 15%. You know, but right now, and that was one of the things that I should have mentioned, the senior population is like 60 plus is 27%. We're not going to hit the peak until 2030, so it's still growing. And like I said, those people in the 60s and probably in the 50s, and in some cases I know in the 40s, I had experienced it both with some, and I'm not only with my own mother. There's a lot of just even information you want. Where do you go? You know, to get that information. You know, hopefully to the senior center, but they'd be overwhelmed with the number of people. I think there's also possibilities for, you know, in a like I said, we have a member from the rec commission on it. There are things the rec commission would like to be able to do with older people. They don't have space. They would, they're kind of like, wow, yeah, well, if you have space, we certainly, libraries book solid. If you have some, meeting rooms. But, so I don't have an exact number of, if you go there on a given day, I would say it's a small percentage of people that go now.
Yeah, I know when I was doing my research last year, yes, it was pre-COVID, it was overcrowded. The bathroom obviously is the massive issue for everyone. So definitely it's, it shouldn't be that way, unfortunately. And one last question. You mentioned Wilmington about they're going with the new senior center. So the feedback currently that I said where, did they reach out to their, did they do surveys and whatnot to find out, are you willing to pay for a new senior center? Would you utilize it? Why don't you? The same survey that you want to propose here, did they already do that and they received significant feedback? And that's why they're going ahead with the new center, or?
Okay, they did go out, they went out to 10 other communities. They did a survey. On an ongoing basis, they do it was interesting, they said one of the things that's been very successful for them is Twitter. And it's not because of the seniors, but because the family members see it, and she said they can document it, because they'll ask, how did you hear about us? And that's one of the biggest ways people have heard about them. I wouldn't have thought that. Cable TV certainly is something that we do expect, more seniors to be looking at. So I think Wilmington has done a really good job as far as, and also what they did every step along the way, they had newsletters that really were like easy to read, but hit you just with facts. Boom, boom, boom. Here's what we've done. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we visited. Cost estimate. Keeping people totally informed. So you want to know what the problems are, and I think that's a good question. As far as taxes. What's going to be the impact? It's always an issue because people on fixed income are going to be, going to disproportionately always, feel that. I think Reading is also, though, has led the way as far as having that tax abatement program, matching, in fact, exceeding, I believe now, what the state's amount is on the credit, the actual credit the state gives, and the town was one of the first in the state to get, first of all, it was a waiver, and now it's a state law that any community can participate in.
How much was Wilmington's, do you know? Is it like 10 million, 20 million?
She told me, but I don't have it. I could get you that information.
It's a little early though, because we don't really know what our solution is gonna be.
No, I'm just kind of seeing the path that we're going down.
I know one of the other communities was 8 million. So it's not like it has,
Oh, yeah, no, I was trying to, I'm just trying to gauge, I'm not sure what the cost of a new senior center cost. That's why I'm saying if Wilmington was 20, Andover's 22, you start getting into those areas where it meets the needs of the population, this is what you can reasonably expect the cost to be, as long as you own the property, et cetera. But no, I appreciate your time in coming here and staying till 10 o'clock with us, and answering all my questions.
I had to walk across the street. I had chorus practice with Reading Community Singers.
Thank you.
A couple of questions, couple of comments. So John, thank you very much. Nicely kind of bringing this down to what we're talking about. There are a couple of things that I just wanted to share. One is some of the photos you saw there were of open space in these areas, just places for people to sit. And social isolation is a big issue, and it's not necessarily just space for doing athletics or space for playing cards, whatever. Sometimes that open space is really important. That seems to be in a lot of the centers that we're looking at. You saw some of the pictures. In terms of some of the near-term issues, there definitely are some near-term issues. Recalc's mission was more focused longer term, and one of the reasons we're working so closely with the Council on Aging is that we're trying to help them a little bit with their voice. and to advocate more for some of the short-term needs that are going on as well as the long-term needs that Recalc is more focused on. I think one of the things, and Karen, you were mentioning on this willingness, ability to pay, I think it is a little still cart before the horse. Important to know that it's not, it's not a $50 million building, I got it. But, we've got families of all ages in the town that have concerns about taxes and other things. It's not just restricted to seniors. But I think that the notion of responding to those needs, serving the community better is really where we think we should focus. And part of the survey, part of the work we're doing is to understand not necessarily just kind of the wish list, but more asking questions about some ideas and getting some feedback on some ideas. And I think we all understand very, very clearly that we have a limited pool of funds. We need to spend wisely. We need to invest wisely. And I think this is one of those investments in all likelihood that we want to do as a community. But again, we come forward, come to the select board. Town meeting needs to understand the situation, and we'll have to decide about a feasibility study, and if it goes forward from that to the next step as well, and decide if that's where it fits in the priorities. So that's kind of how I see it playing out. Sorry, it was more of a comment than a question.
No, the Wilmington director said to me, he says, don't ask people if they want a new senior center. Ask them if there are unmet needs.
Okay.
For seniors. I think that's really what we gotta address and find out what those needs are and determine, we don't know what's the best solution. We know it's not adequate, I think we all can agree on that, but the best solution, that's what we wanna find out and make a recommendation. Okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sean,
Thanks.
Ron.
Are there any members of the public on Zoom with questions? Raising their hand.
No hands on Zoom.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming. I've been excited. Yeah, I appreciate that you guys have been meeting a lot and putting a lot of time and energy into this, and love that. Keep going. Okay. All right, so we should discuss future agenda items. So that's good. I was actually printed out our future agenda items list, so I'm so excited. The pinning ceremony's been out there for a long time, so we've got that. We can start crossing things off.
To post for that.
Yeah. Start crossing off the list. Let's see, okay, and I know we've already got some sort of a hearing for the town forest committee member. So I don't really have any others at this time. Chris?
Just park for me.
And extending the sunset date, right?
It seems as if because if there needs to be another meeting after the 19th, 15th, whatever that is, then yes, it wouldn't. So yes,
Is there a rationale to extending like such a short time frame, or is it better to extend by 3 months as opposed to like month by month?
At this point, it doesn't seem to hurt to just say like, July 31st or something kind of scenario. Like I said, I don't anticipate it being beyond another follow-up meeting right after this one, if anything. You know what I mean? But something has to be done then.
On or before?
On or before. Can we do on or before? Oh, perfect.
Sure, and maybe we could schedule them early in the meeting because everybody came and waited.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have any hearings coming up, but maybe they could come out.
Since we posted for that agenda item, would it be okay for me to register one comment about park? And since it is on our agenda for this evening?
I think so.
Since this is,
That sounds like
I can do so later as a member of the public, certainly, but the first time staff brought similar proposals to us, I just had registered concern, and I think it's reflected in the PowerPoint, that any kind of kiosk be very careful about privacy of residents in terms of, I'd be very wary of any kind of program that can track residents' comings and goings and retains information about, where residents are going, when and where residents are moving about, so.
Am I able to answer that?
Hang on, there was is it LPN? Is that what that acronym's about?
Yeah, so if I can answer, it's, that was brought up
Yeah.
during, Park about, license plates, I believe.
Yes.
Bernie was
Yep.
the one that brought it up, about it wiping out the data and whatnot. And I guess, to Bernie's point, he wanted to see in the contract how they're saving this kind of data, because we don't want to be part of selling data elsewhere as
absolutely.
being, as part of the contract.
Sure.
So yeah, we echo your concerns that, we want license plate numbers scrambled or whatever,
Yeah.
deleted
And I
after X
think
amount of
from
days.
both in terms of the private company retention, but also for the town too.
Oh,
I don't
absolutely.
think the town shouldn't be tracking where people are coming and going. So
Yep.
thank you. Just wanted to while I had
Absolutely.
just wanted to register that concern. Could I mention a future agenda item? So I won't be here, but would certainly encourage the board maybe on May 31st to adopt a Pride resolution for June. We have the Pride flag, the town owns the Pride flag, so we'd be able to raise that for the month of June.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. I second that.
So I have, if anyone would like it, and it's certainly published in the prior packet, but the language of the last resolution.
All right, I'll go find that.
We also talked today about, I don't know if we want to call it email policy, communication with boards, policy. I think that deserves another round. Sure.
Yes, that was definitely one of the things that I managed to forget when I was trying to thank you for all of your accomplishments. That wonderful first Pride ceremony and the flag raising. Thank you for your work on that as well. The community enjoyed it. Maybe we can get you back to do it again.
Well, I hope I can, I look forward
You
to
have to be a
attending at
select
least.
board. Yeah, you have to be a select board member. Okay. Are you ready for meeting minutes?
Yes, we are, Jackie. Thank you.
You good?
Sorry, what's that?
It wasn't RMLD who was holding the hearings, it was Mass DOER.
Here we are, thank you.
Okay, keep going, Jackie, please.
Am I just reading it out? That's a better way to do it.
Yeah, let's get it. Turn off.
Or, Jackie, can you make it bigger, please? There, awesome.
Okay to scroll down?
I guess my only issue is with this is all the prior meetings where it's supposed to be a summary or synopsis of whatever, where I,
Excellent. This is
where
the
I've-
dissenting opinion. Yeah, understood. This is the dissenting opinion.
exactly, so that's why I'm just wondering why this is expanded. I have no issue with it actually being in there. It's more of, I'm just wondering why that it's okay now, but
It is reasonable
Last
when you
month.
have someone who doesn't agree to explain why.
I completely agree with you, but it
That's the
should
only reason
be,
why it's in there.
it should be consistent. That's, I'm fine with it, like, otherwise, why,
It's
like,
okay, but you gotta, we all edit these minutes, but
oh, I agree.
I had to go
But-
back and watch the video, actually. We said a lot of things, and summary is mostly what you see in here, but anyway.
Karen, one question,
Sure.
and Jackie, I'm sorry, would you mind scrolling up just a little bit? And my recollection of what you said, that community paradigm reconfirmed that termination pay is not a provision of town manager. Do you want to just say, I feel like it was more like not a standard or common provision, like I feel like that's like I can't imagine that was what you
I actually, so I did try to summarize. I probably said 3 sentences.
Yeah.
And I did have the same question for you. I meant to say like modern, standard, typical, all of those things. But technically, I didn't say that. What I said was, it's not done. And going back to the past and looking to the meeting minutes, I didn't think it's not done. It just didn't seem like that was gonna communicate effectively what was said. So I completely agree with you. That's what I felt. Didn't wanna make it any longer than it already was, but I'm open to friendly amendments.
Like I said, I'm fine with it. I just hope in future minutes, if things have to be expanded upon, that it's given that leeway, because all of this can be in there, because it was said. That, I just want things to be consistent from this point, I guess, going forward.
We've been, it's, if you're satisfied with, you've been a dissenting person and you were satisfied with it, then that's, it is what it is, alright?
Yeah, I mean, it's more detailed than we've previously said we'd like, but it seems all reflective of what you said, so I'm okay with it. I think if the board wants to, decide going forward, it's preferences for format, that's fine, but that'll be your happy task.
My problem, our problem, awesome.
So you said, what you actually said was it's not done?
Yes. And I think I might have been quoting them, but again, I really didn't want it to go on any longer than it needed to.
I think I've just put common, like it's a common provision, like I think that was what I took away from what you
Okay.
said.
Because honestly, I didn't ask the question. It could have been common in the past, and it may have been, but like the context was now, because.
Alright.
Alright, I think we can keep going. Who's change? Anne, was this your change?
This was my, yeah. I was
Okay, I don't have any problem with this.
No, it's fine.
Is there more?
I don't think so.
If
Yay,
you could-
wonderful.
Yeah, if you could actually go back to, sorry, page 2, right at the very top, it says illustrative map, and it's supposed to be math. So I don't know if you wanna, yes, yep, so it's math.
Not geography.
I might have said map though, like. The accent, but yes, it's math.
really autocorrect. There's no E on the end, right?
No, I think that's just a strike, is it?
Oh, stricken, okay, all right, thank you, that looks good to me. Okay,
Ready for a motion?
I'm ready for a motion.
Move to approve meeting minutes for March 1st, 2022 as amended.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? 5-0, the motion carries. Any other motions you might have?
I have one left. Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Yippee.
Thanks, Jackie. Good night.
Thank you.